A woman never belongs to you. It's just your turn. You lost your edge, she lost attraction for you. That's how it works. What'd you think she was gonna do? Tell you she cheated? Men cannot afford to get complacent in relationships. Get your fat ass off the couch, start lifting weights, and learn game. You're welcome.
And now your man,
Donovan Sharpe.
What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and welcome to the 999th edition of TSR Live, your daily dose of toxic masculinity, misogyny, and small dick energy. It is Monday, July the 31st of 2023. It is good to have you in today. We're only streaming. We are only streaming to Facebook. We're only streaming to YouTube and Rumble today. Running a little bit over on the Zoom call. And for those of you guys who are unfamiliar, if you're a channel member, if you're a patron, if you're a Sharpe Stream supporter, if you are a Locals supporter, you have access to my daily Zoom calls. I start them anywhere between 2:30 and 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is just when I coach, give advice. We kind of sometimes will shoot the breeze, talk about current events, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of times guys come in and say, "Hey, Donovan, got this going on with my girl. How would you handle it? Hey, Donovan, got this going on. How would you handle it? What kind of advice, guidance, whatever the case may be?" I certainly don't have all the answers because, I'm not all knowing. But I know women. And I know a little bit about about perseverance and getting through things. I know about adversity. Adversity is just a part of life, and it is what it is. Let me make a couple of quick announcements here before we get started. Episode 1000. Let me center myself here. Episode 1000 of TSR Live. I'm not sure when I'm going to do the official 1000th episode. It's definitely going to be very, very soon. But I've got some things in the works. I'm not going to make a huge deal about it, but I want to make sure that I give it the gravitas that it deserves. I'm collecting clips. At this point, just kind of, seeing what some of the most seminal moments were, some of the most unforgettable moments, et cetera, et cetera. Just to kind of try to take a walk down memory lane and just to kind of show you guys the evolution and the growth of the podcast over the years, which to me has been nothing short of spectacular. Thanks mostly to you guys. So stay tuned. I'll be making the announcement for episode 1000 here very, very soon. Don't worry, it will definitely be sooner than later. Also, I am going to be in Las Vegas this weekend. I'm going out there, hanging out with Miguel, Charlie Miguel. They're doing a crypto event out there, and they've got a nice room for me out there, and they've invited me along. And I don't know anything about crypto. I used to do the show Crypto Oasis with those guys. Love those guys. Love those guys to death. I'm definitely going to reprise it here very, very soon. Now that the advent of Rumble allows me to do the kinds of panel shows that I was unable to do before I'd be taken down. Yes, this was Anthony. Anthony would watch my. You guys all know. You guys were all there. 2 years ago in Phoenix, I started doing. I'd started the Crypto Oasis. They took my channel down. I got it back, I think, that night. Right. I think a week later, I tried it again. Same thing. Guys were over there too. Tony Bruno, not George Bruno, but Tony Bruno, Anthony Johnson, Southern Israelite, MGTOW Dictionary, all those numbskulls over there who are no longer relevant. Were all jumping up and rejoicing because they thought that they had essentially cut me out from the knees. The CME went off without a hitch. It was almost too smooth. That's why it cost me so goddamn much. The CME went off without a hitch, so did the next one. the pardon me, the CME2 and now CME3 is it is on the tracks and it is steaming forward, full steam ahead. The 21 convention, as most of you know at this point, has been canceled by Mr. President. Lack of ticket sales, lack of money, etc., has burned his bridges. We all knew this was coming, so I'm not going to act surprised that it did. I am surprised that it happened this soon, but you know, when you're charging $4,000 a ticket and talking trash about your competitor, this is the kind of thing that it leads to. One last announcement, and I didn't want to do this. I did not want to do this publicly until I got a chance to talk to Adam first, but I have messaged him, I've left him voicemails, I've sent him text messages, and he, for whatever reason, I guess he's busy. I don't know if he's out of the country. I don't know what he's doing, but for whatever reason, we haven't been able to make contact. And so eventually I'm going to have this conversation with him. I'm not the kind of guy that likes to do stuff via text message or voice note. I like to talk to people voice to voice or face to face. Hey man, like, et cetera, et cetera. So here's the announcement. Let's go ahead and rip off the Band-Aid. I am disassociating myself with Adam Sosnick and the Valuetainment podcast indefinitely. And the reason for this is it's not because I don't like Adam. It's not that I don't think Adam. It's not that I think Adam's a bad guy. I think Adam's a great guy. He's still my friend. As far as I know, my relationship with him outside of podcasting has remained unchanged. I'm still going to lean on him for financial tips, financial advice, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to this community and dealing, trying to get the message out, trying to wake up men, Valuetainment at this point, it does not serve that end. It does not serve that end. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and blame him for it. He's never, like I said in my other discussion about this, is that Valuetainment, the Saucecast, he never purported to be about men's improvement. Like I said before, he said the purpose of the Valuetainment is to get laid, show people how to get laid, get paid, and do it your way. I thought that I could maybe contribute. Because he, and listen, unceremoniously, he showed up at the CME last year uninvited, which was great. It was absolutely great. He showed up, gave us all the publicity and everything in between. And I said, you know what, this guy really just gave us publicity. He didn't have to do that. Like, he's associated with PBD. Like, that was cool of him to do. But since then, having had access to all of the Red Pill guys, and listen, he's had some great shows. The Fresh and Fit live event, that was a home run. There is no doubt about it. That is absolutely a home run. But there have been way too many instances. There have been way too many instances where he loses control of the panel and the women are able to just talk and do and say whatever they want to, carte blanche. Like, they're able to say things with impunity, like talking about people's moms, calling people broke peasants. Just straight up insulting people. And then when I clap back right at the end, now he wants to say, oh, let's be respectful. So yeah. And plus, here's another thing. A lot of, I used to defend Adam in terms of the way he hosted the show. I'm not going to tell him how to host his own show. He's going to crack 200K subscribers. It is what it is. But he is never really going to be at a shortage of female guests. And the reason for that is because word is getting around fairly quickly that if you want to tell off these manosphere guys and not really, if you want your viral moment, if you want to tell off these manosphere guys and have your viral moment, go to the Saucecast. He's not going to do anything about it. You can say whatever you want, do whatever you want. He's not going to step in and regulate the conversation. That's why the fat Asian chick, I don't even know what her name is, Angela Yee, she'll never be on Fresh and Fit. Linda, whatever the hell her name is, she'll never be on Fresh and Fit. Because these women, the black lady, I still don't remember what her name is. She'll never be on Fresh and Fit because Fresh and Fit is an organized show, number one. And you know, I guess the Saucecast is organized to some degree. They've got the theme and all that other kind of stuff. But it is properly moderated over at Fresh and Fit. Yes, we can have heated discussions, we can have viral moments, but you can't have people berating other people unchecked. It just doesn't work that way. And so these women, what they've done is they're not going to Fresh and Fit. They're not saying, hey, let's go to Fresh and Fit and tell off these Manosphere Red Pill guys. No, because they know that Myron will regulate the conversation and allow everyone to have equal footing. No, they'd rather go to Saucecast if they have at least 2 people, then they're going to outnumber you. They're just going to outnumber you. What they're going to do is they're just going to filibuster. They're just going to talk while you're talking, be disrespectful, things of that nature. That doesn't do me or you guys any good. It makes me, it doesn't do me any good to get up in front of 200,000 plus subscribers, possibly more, and just talked down to. That's just all there is to it. I think the Linda chick was like, I humbled him by calling him a broke peasant. She didn't humble anybody. All she did was put her fingers in her ears and was like, blah, 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 blah. That's literally what she did. You're broke, you're a peasant, blah, 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 blah. She didn't add anything to the conversation other than the fact that she wished that I ended up like Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels, of course, is dead. Adam didn't see fit to check that. The woman wished death upon me, and Adam let that go. Then Natalia asked him if he was going to if Natalia was going to, if Adam was going to the wedding and or the CME, and the way Adam responded to that made me feel some type of way. I do not like the fact that, and it was interesting, somebody put it in the comments, and let me find it, and this is what really, I'm going to give credit to this guy, because this is what really helped me to sort of see what was really going on. Because, guys, you know me. When it comes to people I know, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I really do. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I try to, I try to see things from all sides. Now with trolls, it's shoot first, ask questions later with trolls, because I don't know them, they don't know me, et cetera, et cetera. But when you're dealing with people that you know and that you are friends with, yeah. The fact that this went unchecked is really, that really made me feel some type of way. So let me just, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I just want to, I forgot what it was and I should have highlighted it. But yeah, like I said, man, my relationship with Adam, as far as I'm concerned, it remains unchanged. He is still my friend. He is, he's still my friend. I'm still going to lean on him for financial advice if he will still allow me to lean on him for that. And but as far as like Manosphere, Red Pill related stuff, I cannot have him or his people involved in anything we have going on here. That's just all there is to it. Again, this doesn't mean Adam's a bad guy. We know, listen, man, we've seen people come and go in this space for years and years and years and years. We've seen it. But we really have to be careful. We really have to be careful who we associate with. We really have to. And it's not like, and like I said, it's not like he has nefarious intentions. It's just that I don't think he knows exactly what he's getting into. I think he's got the money. I think he's got the money. He's got the money set for life. He's in his early 40s. He'll never have to work again. I think maybe he's trying to get a little bit of clout for himself, right? I mean, Andrew Tate was rich, not famous. Well, now Andrew Tate is rich and famous and infamous. Maybe Sosnick is trying to be rich and now famous. But yeah, I just can't be in the middle of that. I just can't be in the middle of that. I can't find that comment, but I'll find it. I'll try to locate it. It might not have even been on this particular podcast, but yeah, so that's the announcement. And guys, that's not going to make any waves. Nobody knows who the hell I am. Nobody knows who Sosnick is. So it's not like this is some big groundbreaking type of decision. But I've decided to pull the plug much earlier than I'm comfortable with, because not doing it before has cost me dearly. Now, all things are right in the world. The 21 convention is done and gone forever. And the CME still rolls on, but that doesn't mean that I can't still be hurt in some way by going on the Saucecast and just being in front of a firing squad for lack of a better term. So I'm just not going to subject myself to that level of disrespect, that level of volatility, and that's just going to be that. Mo Mrizzle, welcome to Chat Privileges. At Mo Mrizzle to welcome him to the TSR family. At Mo Mrizzle, if you would, put your age and location in the chat, as is customary of all of the very first. Hang on a second. As is customary of all of the very first. Wait a minute. All of the very first chat supporters. Let's do a chat wide age and location check. That way, maybe we can. That way, maybe you never know. Somebody could be watching. Somebody could be watching this the same as you. They could be in your block, could be on your city, could be next door. So you never know. Ken Rose with the $5 super chat. Appreciate that very, 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 very much. All right, very good. Let me quickly go through some of the more relevant chats here. Yes, rest in peace. Rest in peace to Paul Rubens, a.k.a. Pee Wee Herman. I used to watch Pee Wee's Playhouse when I was a kid. Hell, I was living here in the state of New Jersey when the movie Pee Wee's Big Adventure, when Pee Wee's Big Adventure came out. And I remember being so scared of Large Marge for it was like a month. Like I was afraid of Large Marge. So anyway, that's my beta trait of the day. I was afraid of Large Marge for a while. Now, not soon after that, I was afraid of Ivan Drago for pretty much ever. But I'd rather be afraid of Drago than Large Marge. You guys know how that goes. Let's see what else we got going on up in here. Ooh, stomach cancer. Yeah, that's a way to go. Let's see here. Emmett Trill says Adam is pulling a Pearl. I'm not really sure what that means. Pearl has more credibility in the red pill space than Adam because Pearl actually checks her guests. She actually challenges her guests. I think Adam is probably more red pill than we're aware, but again, just because you're red pill aware does not mean you're living the red pill life. I think that a lot more men are probably red pilled than we realize, but you can't say it out loud, otherwise you get canceled. So, and Devin points this out too. She says that Adam likes to argue without arguing. He will say, well, some would say that when a woman is the leader of the relationship, then blah, 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 blah. Then I even remember on that last episode, he actually said, he actually said, hey, a woman should be the leader of the relationship, right? Like he actually said that. I don't believe he believes that. I really don't. Also, Errol Spence was completely and thoroughly dominated by Terrence Bud Crawford on Saturday night. The fight was never, ever, ever in doubt. Oh my God. The first round went Spence's way because, Crawford gathers that information very quickly. After that first round, it was all Bud. It was all Crawford. That right jab was like a pump action shotgun. I have never seen, the only other jab I have ever seen that does that kind of damage is George Foreman's jab. And George Foreman's a goddamn heavyweight. Like he was like, Spence was eating. They're showing it right now. He was eating this jab. He was knocked down. The first knockdown was from a jab. It was unbelievable. So I think that this fight solidifies Terrence Crawford as the undisputed pound-for-pound king in the world of boxing. Of course, Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, the most violent man in MMA, got the second round knockout against the very gracious loser Dustin Poirier with that kick. Poirier actually blocked the kick. He guessed correctly, blocked the kick, but he blocked it a little bit. He blocked it a little bit too forward. He thought like he misjudged the depth, and Gaethje's foot caught the back half of his head, and that was that. So, at any rate, okay, very good. So let's not waste any time, guys. Let's go ahead and get this party started. So, Candace Owens recently sat down to interview Andrew Tate. Like I said, I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. I have the speed turned up to 1.25 so it doesn't sound too fast. But I do want to try to get through as much of this as humanly possible. And I will say this. I'm going to react to this interview. This will be part 1, part 2, maybe tomorrow, part 3, the day after that. At the conclusion of the show, I am going to break down the second half of the Big D. Of course, I started that doubleheader on Friday. Couldn't get through it all because it just took a long time. So I'm going to react to the second half of episode 7 of the Big D, and then I think what I'm going to start doing tomorrow. I can't stand it when they. Anyway, first world problems. Anyway, I'm going to start breaking down the movie Barbie. I've heard Barbie is making the rounds. I've heard it's a box office hit. And from what I've heard about it so far, it seems to be very, very breakdown worthy. Okay, without further ado, let's get this party started. Oops. It'd be nice if we could unmute it. There we go.
Andrew Tate.
Long time.
I know, it's been a very long time.
Very long time.
Actually, I met you downstairs at the Ritz.
Correct.
George and I were engaged at the time.
Yep.
And I probably was very swept up in George and barely got time to talk to you, but I do remember you being very polite. So it's interesting to fast forward to today, and you were very much in the UK circuit.
Yeah.
Now it seems like your celebrity is kind of really hitting the US market. They're kind of finding you for the first time, digging up a bunch of old clips, and there's a lot of pressure now on conservatives to say something really awful about you.
There seems to be a pressure on
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
everybody on all sides to say something awful about me.
Yeah,
I kind
right.
of feel like I've been placed in a position where there's always someone attacking me new each day. But I guess I was built for it because it doesn't bother me like it should, perhaps.
You seem to be doing pretty well given the circumstances.
I know the truth in my heart, and I know that what I say is the truth, and I understand very well the internet and how it works, and I also think
Yeah, the Rebel 5150 says 29 Phoenix, Arizona. Dude, use sunscreen and drink water, brah.
perspicacious enough to understand there's certainly a degree of weaponized virtue and perhaps a degree of jealousy and perhaps a few other things that are involved in all of these attacks. I don't believe that people who sit and attack somebody for their past, especially something from so long ago, are genuinely virtuous. I don't think it's about virtue. I think it's about, well, I can get some clicks this way, or I can get some views that way, or he did the biggest interview ever, or whatever it is. There's certainly some other motivations. And I don't want to say water off a duck's back. I don't want to come across as arrogant. However, I do believe that since the dawn of human time, every single king with any kind of empire was constantly at war. And I think if you're going to become one of the most famous people on the internet, you're going to be at war. And you'd be a fool to become massively influential and then cry about the fact that you end up in constant battles. It doesn't matter if you're Napoleon or Charlemagne or Genghis Khan. There's always someone prodding the edges of your empire, trying to find weakness, see what little bit of land they can take.
And look, this is not, I don't have an empire, right? I've got a little rinky little business, but I run this. And Andrew's right, man. I mean, dude, there's unfortunately in this business and in any business, when you're a man and you're a leader and you're in charge and you're a boss and you have your shit together, there's going to be people coming after you all the time. Like, we can all sit here and pretend that Anthony Johnson's the devil, but if it wasn't going to be him, it was going to be somebody else. Hell, it was already O'Shea and Obsidian before he jumped in. There was always going to be somebody. This is just how it is. So if you think you want to get into this business, just understand that yes, it can be very financially rewarding, but you're going to have to give up a lot of your privacy. You're just going to have to learn how to deal with criticism and people coming after you.
And I think it's always been the same. And right now, I guess you could say, to a degree, I certainly have an empire and I'm massively influential. And there's a degree of I wouldn't say jealousy, but there's certainly some ambitious people who are trying to damage it. I think that's what it is.
Yes, it is jealousy. And I was going to say this during the podcast with EO yesterday, and I've said this before. The reason why guys like Destiny and Abba and Preach hate Andrew Tate so much is because of his success with women. He managed to, and again, we can talk about what's moral, what's immoral. We can talk about the haters. We can talk about whatever we want. We can talk about whatever we want when it comes to somebody's personal life. This is not about morals. This is not about morals. I don't care. I'm not here to be the moral police. I'm not here to be a preacher. I'm not here to be a pastor. I'm not here to stare down my nose from on high at the moral, from the moral cathedral. That as far as I'm concerned. But that's the way this is always going to be. That's the way it's always going to be, guys. It's never not going to be this way.
So I did see a mashup clip that we're not going to show because I thought it was unfair. I will say that.
I think that's what it is. Of, I wouldn't say jealousy, but there's certainly some ambitious people who are trying to damage it. I think that's what it is.
Yes, and so the reason why Aben, Preach, and Destiny hate Andrew Tate so much and think that he's dangerous is because Andrew figured out how to win against women. Okay? He figured out how to win against women. Not only is he good at getting beautiful women to sleep with him, he's getting beautiful women to sleep with him even though they know he's sleeping with other girls and webcamming. The idea that a woman would be so dedicated to a man, the idea that a man has the kind of gravitas and the kind of game to be able to do this with as many women as he did, in their minds, there has to be something illegal going on. Guys like Destiny, Aben, Preach, they can't fathom actually having a woman's genuine burning desire. Right? They can't fathom a woman wanting to bang them because of what they are. Because of their gravitas, because of the way they talk, because of their game. That's how it is. Destiny cannot look at the relationship he's in. He can't fathom how in the world does Andrew oh, I know. He's got to be doing something illegal.
So I did see a mashup clip that we're not going to show because I thought it was unfair. I will say that. Only because there was no context provided to the clips. It was just an extract of something that you said that 10 years ago. Some of them were literally 10 years ago. Didn't know what year it was from, didn't know who you were talking to, didn't know what context it was. And I've been victimized online by something like that before, where somebody takes something abstract and says, well, this is what must be what she means until they're provided the full context of the clip. And I also take exception to, I think, digging back 10 years. I don't know who could survive that litmus test. I'm 34 years old today. 10 years ago, today I speak to my audience, I talk about, they call me puritanical. I talk about, not drinking. I think the biggest change has been becoming a mother. And it would really be unfair if we went and found Candace at 24 years old, liberal, dancing at One Oak, and
there you
said,
go. See
well,
that?
look at these clips of Candace Owens.
Right.
Fortunately, I had no cameras in my face 10 years ago. You somehow did. So I think it's a bit unfair. I also think that some of the critique that is coming your way is coming from people who are well-intentioned, like they actually don't perceive, maybe perhaps, okay, this is 10 years ago, what the context is, has he changed since? So I will ask the question, and we are going to get into some of those clips. You said you're an open book. How have you transformed? And I've seen changes just, I think, in the last 5 years. Who are you today? How have you transformed?
That's a very good question. It's also very important when you talk about Candace from 10 years ago. The idea that you did something 10 years ago, which you would no longer agree with, is one thing. But the second thing, to come along to the conclusion that you now have no value to add to the world would be massively unfair, right? Everybody changes, and that's fine. I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit and apologize for his past. I believe all's well that ends well. I believe we're humans and we grow and we learn. I'd be a fool and I'd be disingenuous to sit here and pretend I was sorry for something I did in the past. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be very honest to everyone at home. I've talked at length for a very long time about my history and the fact I used to run a webcam business, and I don't feel guilty for that. I know that's really what they want from me. I don't feel sorry for that. I've never hurt anybody. It has nothing to do with my current criminal case. Everybody who worked for me was very positive. In fact, my #1 supporter is currently online, and my best lifelong friends and some of the letters I got in jail were from people who worked for me at that time. And I had a business. And I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend that I feel guilty or I feel sorry for that. I'm from a low-income background. I did what I had to do to survive. And truthfully, all in all, being very honest, I don't think what I did was really that bad. And I want to say that, and I know people are going to lose their minds for it, but...
No, what he did was not that bad. Andrew Tate used women to make money. That's what he did. How is what Andrew Tate did any different from what strippers and prostitutes do? How is that any different? Strippers and prostitutes exploit men. Working girls, cam girls, OnlyFans models, they take advantage of male thirst for money. That's just how that is. Nobody, dude, and when guys cry and whine about, oh, I spent $50,000 on this OnlyFans girl, you know what they say? Well, tough shit. You should have known. You should have known. They're not doing anything illegal. Well, neither was Andrew Tate. He didn't put a gun to these girls' heads. They did what they did of their own free will and volition. That's all there is to it. What he did might have been debaucherous and immoral and all this other kind of stuff, but it wasn't against the law.
I didn't sell drugs.
No.
I didn't kill anybody.
No.
I mean, what did I do? I found a gap in the market and I helped some people
organize
organize some accounts on an internet website. That's what I did. And they're going to try and criticize me and crucify me for the next 100 years because of it, because of clips that were made 10 years ago. I think it's disingenuous, and I don't think anyone actually really cares about the virtue of it, because nobody who was involved in my life back then is complaining about anything. I think it's just an attack on me. And certainly we learn and we grow and we change, but it's very interesting how hypocritical the idea of looking at somebody's life over such a long period actually is. I mean, we can look at Donald Trump, right, who I'm a fan of. I know you've had your ups and downs with him, but in the conservative sphere, he's pretty well respected. Donald Trump used to own the Miss Universe pageant. Are we going to criticize him?
Yeah,
Are we
right.
going to crucify him? What about the girls he had in Miss Universe who decided to go on and do Playboy magazine? Is he a bad
Right.
person now?
Right.
Why? That's not Christian values, right? People are messy, and life is messy, and nothing is completely clean. And this idea that you're going to find somebody, and 10 or 11 years ago they did something which might even be slightly distasteful, not even illegal, and you're going to crucify him forever, I just don't believe that's genuine virtue. I think it's just an attack.
Yep.
I do think what's happening right now is they are wrongly conflating you having run a webcam business, however long it was ago, to the criminal cases happening in Romania. And this is why introduction of my voice, when people were saying, he's not a conservative, he's not a Christian, I don't understand why Christians are giving him a platform.
And I'm very sorry to interrupt. I'm very sorry to interrupt you. But yeah, I will say right now, I would never consider myself a conservative from that standpoint.
Right.
I'm a rational actor. I'm a reasonable person.
Okay.
I'm intelligent. I use my brain. And I guess that makes me align with many conservative issues overall because the other side have lost their minds. I don't wake up and stand there as a conservative figure. I don't consider myself a conservative figure. I've just ended up aligning with them on a lot of core issues because I'm a forward-thinking, rational person. But I'm certainly not a conservative. I don't stand up and say, hey, I'm a conservative. I'm not interested in whether the conservative want to embrace me from that perspective or not. I have no interest in that. I wasn't even particularly political until my recent debacle where I realized a lot of things about the world and how avoiding politics will not save you, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's
and that's
true.
one of the things I pointed out was I said, he's never said he was conservative. Why are we, he is not identifying as a Christian. So why are we suddenly using that as whether or not a Christian and a conservative can put him on a platform?
Well, not only that, Andrew Tate has recently converted to Islam. So then there's that.
I'm going to talk about something that is relevant. And something that is relevant is whether or not you are being wrongly or unfairly persecuted by a government.
Yeah.
I have spoken on my platform after examining the charges against Harvey Weinstein. He's clearly not a conservative. He's about as far left as it really gets. That
Yes.
doesn't mean that I don't have an interest in whether or not he's guilty or not guilty and whether or not he was persecuted because of a overtly political movement like Me Too. So I do not like that these things are being conflated, but I want to park that aside because we are going to get into your case and just stick with what you just said about the webcam business. So you say you don't have any guilt for it.
I'm not sorry. I don't operate in that frame. I don't think it's an intelligent way for a man to go through life to say, I'm sorry. At a younger age, I did the best I could possibly do, and I did the best I believed at the time. And you grow from it and you learn, and perhaps there's times in your life where you look back and think, well, maybe I would have done this differently, because hindsight's always 20/20. But every rapper sold drugs.
There you
go. You get to a certain stage in your career where you no longer sell drugs and you don't do it anymore, but that's part of the life journey and life.
Yeah, and does the fact that Jay-Z sold drugs, does that hurt his credibility now as a rap icon and mogul? Of course not. And it's common knowledge. So why was it not a problem for Jay-Z to engage himself in illegal activities to do what he had to do, but it's not okay for Andrew to do something legal? Selling drugs is illegal. Running a webcam business is not.
It's messy, and I'm not going to sit here and apologize to any conservative who wants to sit me down and try and give me some moral high ground garbage. I'm not going to listen to it.
Yeah, fuck
I
that.
had a very rough upbringing, a very tough life, and it could have been so much worse in so many ways. I've done nothing illegal. I've never hurt anybody. Everybody who was involved in my life back then are massive supporters of me, and I think it's very hypocritical for someone to sit, look at a situation they were not involved in and don't understand, look at old clips taken out of context, and then tell me and a whole bunch of people who were in my life who were all perfectly happy that something bad happened and something wrong happened. I don't think that's genuine. And for that reason, I'm not going to sit and be preached to by these people who are imperfect themselves. Everybody's imperfect. And another thing that's really important, we talk about Christian values. I also think that I find it very interesting and ironic that I'm somehow the problem and that these Christians feel like they need to come and attack me now in the name of Christian values. I think Christianity has much bigger problems than Andrew Tate in some old clips. I think they have much bigger problems that are happening in their
You
churches
got that
on the
right.
daily. I think you can go to a Christian church in a lot of America and be very disappointed in what you see. I don't think I'm the problem with Christianity. And yeah, it's very interesting. But there was a webcam company, and I've talked about it at length on many different podcasts. I had a business. Many girls on there were perfectly fully clothed and would paint pictures or sing and dance and laugh. I've talked about this at length. I've had nothing to do with it for 10 or 11 years, and nobody was ever hurt. And I am not sorry for it. I don't see why I should be.
Okay. So the way that I read you, and you can definitely let me know if I'm wrong, obviously, because you are you, is that people that don't come from a lot, me and you, obviously, obviously have different decisions that lay before us in life than people that come from everything or people that come from a very stable household, two loving parents. And this kind of gets into the dilemma. I remember years ago, Tommy Lahren had said something, she's a political commentator in the US, had said something to the effect of, well, you know, Jay-Z used to sell crack. And he sort of laughed.
And he probably did.
And he did. And he sort of laughed this off. And I remember looking at that because I looked up to Jay-Z's music so much, you know, and I looked up to him because
Yeah, Jay-Z was Red Pill before there was Red Pill, y'all.
it made it possible for me to change my circumstances. So you're looking at this guy who comes from nothing, he came from the projects, he sold drugs, and then he doesn't have to sell drugs anymore, and he's now talking about ideas and talking about business. So I was able to more closely understand and go, okay, I can actually climb out of these circumstances, even though I wasn't born, you know, with a ton of wealth and a lot of opportunities that like some people were. And I think it's very difficult for people that don't come from nothing to understand that, and they're so sure that if they were in desperate circumstances that they would still never do anything.
But this is their massive mistake, and you're right, but this is their massive mistake. The reason I have such huge affinity with the youth of the world today, especially the masculine youth, is one, because a lot of them are disenfranchised, which is one conversation.
That's right.
But two, also, the reason my reach is so global, the reason I have so many fans in Slovenia and Southside Chicago, and I've had kids from Ulaanbaatar come up to me, Mongolia, all around the world, is because I speak to the disenfranchised, and part of that is always going to be, or is going to involve, financially disenfranchised. I'm someone who comes from absolutely nothing and made himself into something. And unfortunately, there's a rocky road sometimes, like you just described with Jay-Z, to get that done.
Hey, man.
But if I would have been born into a perfect family, like you said, 2 loving parents, family was rich, white picket fence, and I was saying all the same things, then they wouldn't have the same affinity. So if you look at even a lot of superheroes, you look at Batman, he's a flawed person. And I think the reason I'm seen as a hero and the reason I have the fan base I have is because to a degree I've always been a flawed person, and I'm not a perfect human, and I don't want to be. And I think that actually adds a lot of credibility to my character as a whole, that I've become the kind of person who believes he can add value to the world. And just like you said with Jay-Z, he changed. And the biggest thing for me personally, though, truthfully, and I want the whole world to understand this, I've been forensically analyzed by multiple different federal agencies from different countries
Real
for
talk.
the last 17 months, analyzing every aspect of my entire life across the last 10 to 15 years. And what did they find? An old YouTube clip? That's the worst they could find. No sexual perversion, no drugs, no genuine criminal acts. They found something semi-immoral in a YouTube clip. And I would actually challenge anybody who wants to throw stones at me to go through the same level of scrutiny I have been under. And let's see what they find in your life. Because I guarantee anyone who's watching this right now, you sit there, you have a secret in your closet, you have a skeleton that you don't want anyone to know about, and they would have found it. So what's the worst thing that they found about me, considering I've been the most attacked man in the world for 17 months? An out-of-date YouTube clip?
And see, Andrew shines the light on all of this. Anyone who calls themselves outraged about the things that Andrew has done, like, guys, take a look in the mirror, man. Take a look in the mirror, man. And here's something else. He used the perfect word. He used the perfect word when he described. He used the perfect word when he described the way people are going through his past, forensically, right? When people hate you enough, they will find something about. Dude, no one's lived a perfect life. No one's lived a perfect life. Okay, so Andrew Tate did some reprehensible things. They weren't illegal, and that doesn't mean that they're not true. Now, I'm certainly no Andrew Tate by any stretch of the imagination, but the same has happened to me to some degree over the last 2-3 years. I got people digging around in my past. He's been accused of this, and he got arrested for that, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. None of that matters, because I speak the truth. I speak the truth. It's like the example I gave a few weeks ago. If you or someone you love, something you cared about, and someone you cared about needed some sort of complicated surgery, and within your region there are only 2 doctors that are qualified to perform this surgery, the surgeon's moral character is immaterial. What you want to know is, can he keep my loved one alive? Can he maintain his or her quality of life? If the answer is yes, we don't care that he cheated on his wife. We don't even care that he put his hands on his wife. We don't care about any of that stuff. So long as he has a license to practice medicine, and he can make our loved one or loved ones whole again to some degree, then yeah, we don't care. It doesn't matter. People don't say, well, I want that doctor because he's got more morals. He's a family man. No, that's not how that goes. That's not how that goes. No, people will listen to you if you know what you're talking about, if you add value to their lives, etc., etc. People who pretend to care about someone's moral past or criminal path as it relates to their message now, that's disingenuous.
Out of context YouTube clip, is that the worst? I think it's crazy that people aren't even sitting there going, okay, this guy's been absolutely attacked from every single angle, and this is the worst they could possibly drag up.
Right. No, I agree with you. So the question I would ask you, though, and because obviously you've moved away from that business, the thing I find to be the most interesting about you is that younger boys love you.
Yes.
They absolutely, like the 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, I have not come across a 12, 13-year-old boy who's not just an Andrew Tate stan.
Yeah.
And I think it's remarkable. It gives you a lot of power. And I think this is perhaps the interest that a lot of people have in you is, what are you going to do with this power, right? You have all these boys, they believe in you, they stand up for you.
And this is why they're going after Andrew Tate, guys. The most valuable segment, the most valuable demographic for any marketing firm on Madison Avenue when it comes to men, 18 to 35. 18 to 35. Between 18 and 35 years old. You take the average age. What's 18 plus 35? What is that? 53. You divide that by 2. What do you get? Like 27 and a half. I'm not a mathematician. Right? 27 and a half years old. He's old enough to make the kind of money that could possibly start to change his life, but not quite old enough to realize what's going on. That's why they want that 18 to 35 demographic. Because, dude, we're young, we're dumb, we're impulsive, etc., etc. But this is exactly the reason why they want this demographic, this 18 to 35 demographic, because of how valuable it is.
And that is why it becomes important to state, I'm not sorry that I lived this. I don't think I would say that I'm sorry for anything decisions that I made when I was young either, because this is the deck of hands that I was given. What do you want me to do? Yeah. But at the same time, I do try to, now knowing that I have such a following, a lot of young ladies that follow me, say, like, listen, I did the idiot stuff, so you don't have to.
Power and responsibility go hand in hand. And that's the thing that's so interesting. These out-of-date clips, and they want to talk about these things from 10 years ago. At the time when I was talking to camera, those videos are made for private circulation initially. Secondly, I wasn't trying to educate the world on anything back then. I didn't have the kind of power and influence I have back then.
Right.
The way you say something to a video which has 50 viewers has to be different than the way you say something to a video that's 50 million viewers.
Of course.
Power and responsibility absolutely go together, and I understand that very well, and I understand the power I have. And I do believe I'm now an absolute force for good in the world, and I'm far more careful with how I'll project myself with certain ideas. Absolutely agree, completely. But that's the thing that's even so crazy about all of it. These old videos everyone's so concerned about wouldn't even circulate if my haters weren't constantly trying to use them against me. They'd be disappeared into the history of the internet. I don't know where these things come from. I don't know where they were found. I don't know where they are.
Guys, there's always a reason. There are many, many reasons why the world is coming after Andrew Tate. But the number one reason, in my opinion, is that he influences the future. Boys, young, preteen and teenage boys love Andrew Tate because the things that Andrew Tate espouses, it jives with their masculine hard drive. That's why they love him so much, despite what they've been told their entire lives, within the brevity of their lives. Here comes this guy talking all this stuff. They've never been told this before, but for some reason it makes sense to them. Guys, this is biology. Men and women, we have biological differences between us. We respond to different situations and different stimuli in different ways. Nobody told these boys, thou shalt love Andrew Tate. No, what Andrew talks about makes perfect sense. And that's why teenage boys love him.
It's kind of crazy. A lot of people are making all these constant attacks on me. And
yeah, Ice Dragon Kid says, House may be a TV show, but that'd be a perfect example. There you go. And speaking of which, the interesting thing is the overwhelming majority of doctors who get sued for malpractice are not doctors who are skillful, right? Or not doctors who are not skillful. Listen, man, surgeons make mistakes in the operating room all the time. The ones who get sued the most are the ones that don't really have the same kind of bedside manner. You could be the most skillful surgeon diagnostician ever. If you're a dick, you're going to be more susceptible to catching a malpractice lawsuit. Whereas if you are a nice person, upstanding, law-abiding citizen, good bedside manner, people are far less likely to take you to court for something that you supposedly had or hadn't done wrong.
I don't watch a lot of it, I'll have to be honest with you, Candace. I don't watch all of it. But a lot of the videos are so outdated. The only reason they even exist now is because my haters are so desperate trying to take me down. They don't have any concern for them being seen because they wouldn't be circulating them otherwise.
No, they wouldn't.
So yeah, absolutely. Power and responsibility go hand in hand. And I do believe that I now have a huge platform, and with young boys, they're exceptionally interested in my case. I do believe to a degree I'm an anti-hero. I do believe to a degree that the harder I'm attacked, the more credibility is given to me in the eyes of my fans.
That's right.
I think that they see, everyone's out to get this guy. Everyone was out to get Batman. This kind of feels that way. And I do try and lead everyone down a good path and say extremely positive things. And I don't think anybody is finding any clips from the last 5 to 6 years which have anything negative in it.
Right. I think you've changed. That's why I said over the last 5 years, I think there's been a seismic shift. And
this is what I was talking about yesterday with EO. EO said, look, man, he said, Andrew Tate kind of came off looking dumb and kind of slow. Now, I disagree with him, but you can tell that Andrew has clearly learned his lesson. Like, clearly, the takeaway from this is, hey, look, man, I did what I had to do, but everything has a cost. He made a shit ton of money, but guess what? Everything has costs. And I think he now understands that. And so from here on out, he's not going to bring low quality women into his life.
speaking to boys, the younger boys, I think one of the things that they're really suffering from, I get tons of responses, rather unexpectedly, whenever I talk about the topic of pornography on my show. And it's one of those things that, again, if you found Candace 10 years ago and you asked me about pornography, and by the way, this was actually implanted into my head from a health school, like from health education, where they would say pornography is healthy, people should watch pornography, people should engage in pornography, it's okay if you're in a relationship for you to watch pornography. And then I had a huge wake-up call when I spoke to Tim Ballard. You know, he runs
Pornography is not good for you guys. It's not. I had a porn addiction, man, and my porn addiction was so bad, like anytime I choked the chicken, like I just go to sleep. I was just completely out of energy. That's why I don't do it anymore, because it just completely drains me.
Operation Underground, and then I realized how closely pornography is related to human sex trafficking.
Real sex trafficking, not TikTok
sex
account.
trafficking.
Yeah,
We
right.
should talk about that because they are kind of stretching the definition of sex trafficking. In your case, I've taken a look at it. And what's remarkable to me is the amount of young men, and I would say from the ages of 18 to 35, that write in and say how much they're struggling
18 to 35.
with porn, how much they're struggling with pornography addiction, how they feel that no person is talking about the ills of pornography. And so I just watched this clip of you this morning, sitting next to Adam, 22.
You were ever interested in doing your first ever double penetration scene?
Oh my
that me and
God.
Lena, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like,
Yo, dude.
would he be a suitable candidate? Would you,
Andrew Tate,
can I tap him
I
in?
don't know. No.
What the fuck? Is Adam 22 actually off?
Watched this clip of you this morning, sitting next to Adam, 22.
You were ever interested in doing your first ever double penetration scene that me and Lena, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like,
Yo, dude.
would he be a suitable candidate? Would you,
Andrew Tate,
can I tap him
I
in?
don't know. No.
This to me is a stunt. This to me is a stunt, y'all. This is a stunt. Like, really? Like, you're seriously gonna, like, I mean, like, I know she's a hoe, but fam, like, did you just offer your girl to another dude? Like, what are we doing?
Oh, can I fill in real quick, Andrew?
Oh my
You're
God.
out. Aiden, we can't put you. You're not in this conversation anymore.
Fair enough. Go ahead, Andrew. Would you, Andrew? Would you double penetrate her, bro? Would you do that, Andrew? Go ahead. Finish.
Oh
answer.
my
All
God.
together, is that chill?
There's absolutely 0% chance of that happening.
Thank
and it's not because
you.
Elena is particularly unattractive. It's because she's married to Adam, and I have no interest in degenerate
Thank
sex, and I have
you.
no interest in making a spectacle of myself, or even just involving myself in anything which I deem to be overall haram and pointless. It's just not something I'm
Haram!
interested in. There's not a single amount of money on the planet you could pay me to undertake. So
Looks like Alina's
Very polite.
relieved.
I'm not going
Jesus.
to be so polite. I thought he was an absolute degenerate.
Guys, what in the world? What in the world? If it wasn't enough that Jason, I forgot what the guy's name is. Jason, I don't know, Jason Cox or whatever his name is. There we go. It's not enough that Jason Cox, you know, smashed out his wife for the whole world to see. Now you want to do a double penetration with Andrew Tate? What? What are we doing?
And I mean that the idea of having a woman making the vows that you make in marriage and literally offering her body as he did to you was
Candace, that's not a marriage. Adam's relationship with Lena is something different. Devin, put it on the, actually, you know what? I'll put it on the poll. I think she's probably busy right now. I'm going to put this on the poll. Who do you guys, which relationship is worse? Is it Adam and Lena, or is it Destiny and Melina?
a form of degeneracy. And you were being very nice and measured, and I think that for that moment, that was the best thing that you possibly could have done because she looked quite vulnerable. Lena, I think is her name. But how do you reconcile that now, right? You're in a circumstance like this, you're being polite. You did say I'm uncomfortable. You did say that I would never do this, and I think that was really important for you to say. But you're not the same person. I mean, how did you, even reflecting on it, it's so disgusting. He offered you his wife.
Yeah, that's
It's also
crazy.
pretty misogynistic because he didn't ask her, he offered her.
Ooh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did you hear what Andrew just said? He said that's misogynistic. Gentlemen, that is the true definition of misogyny. Only a man who truly hates his wife would ever offer her to someone for purely entertainment purposes. I don't know. Of course, Devin just won the poll with the correct answer, which is yes. That's the answer to the question. Which relationship is worse? Which relationship is worse? Adam 22 and Melina? Or I'm sorry, well, shit, may as well be. Adam 22 and Lena or Destiny and Melina? The answer? Yep. That's the answer.
I felt sorry for her, so I was very measured with my conversation with them because I felt sorry for her. I could tell she was nervous. She was swinging on the chair back and forth. She didn't want to be there. She felt extremely nervous, and I think that...
Oh, look at this. Andrew Tate, the human sex trafficker, rapist, pornographer extraordinaire, turned down an opportunity to smash the world's most popular porn star. But we're not going to talk about that, are we?
Only a coward would berate a very nervous, very scared woman, even if she did something which I personally disagree with. Even if I think Adam is personally, he doesn't align with my morals. Because she was so nervous and because she was so almost afraid she looked. And I think she expected me to go at her hard. So I just felt sorry doing it. I just didn't, I couldn't find, maybe I'm getting soft in my old age.
No, Andrew, this is the human side coming out, not number one. And it's not that you're getting soft at your old age. Andrew, you're growing up, dude. You're growing up. That's what happens. Look, man, I used to be young, dumb, and full of cum too. But I grew up. That's why there are things that I wouldn't do now that I used to do back then. Same with Andrew. Who knows, man? 10, 15 years ago, Andrew would be like, yeah, come on over, Lena. Come on over, Lena. I'll put you to work in my farm. Put you to work on my cubicle farm for a few. We'll make some content, make some money, and get you on out of here.
But I think she knows what I think, and I think she knows what the world thinks, and I think if I go at her too hard, it's just going to break her. And I don't really like the idea of her, turning off the camera and bawling her eyes out. I think that God will teach her the lessons she needs to learn from her experience, both positive and negative, and I think that's God's job to do and not necessarily mine. But yeah, it was certainly uncomfortable, and it shows how degenerate the world is becoming. And pornography as a whole is simply just, I think it's an effect. I think it's a tool which is used to ensure that the male populace stays as docile as possible.
There you go.
I don't think that any of the things that are happening to the male population
There you go. And this ties into why the world is after Andrew Tate. The world wants us to be sedated. And listen, this is what Sneeko talks about quite a bit. Sedation is good, but only in moderation. Right? But yeah, the reason why the West wants to push pornography and video games is because it keeps men in a constant state of docility. I don't know if that's a word, but it makes sense to me. Keeps men weak, keeps them harmless, keeps them unmotivated. Smoke weed, play video games, watch porn. Who's going to be motivated after doing that for 12 hours a day?
Accidental. I think that keeping us as docile as possible is very interesting for the people who are in charge of the world, because we're the warrior class. At the end of the day, it's going to boil down to the men who are going to stand up and actually do something about anything at some point in time. So I think they like the idea of us being docile. And I mean, how much more docile can you get than a man sitting there looking at a screen, not even want to reproduce for real because he's just staring at a screen? And I think that's just the next stage in the slave mind.
And it's everywhere now. Whereas, and this is something that my husband...
Now, I agree with Andrew. I agree with Andrew I do agree with Andrew here in that, yeah, it is pretty pathetic that, a disproportionate amount of men are satisfied with porn, video games, and weed and whatever kind of vices that keeps them from realizing their full potential. But by the same token, it's quite a risk out here fucking with females. It is. Dude, why do you think Tate's in Romania, man? Why do you think he's over there? He doesn't want to fuck with Western women. You kidding me? These hoes out here? Fuck out of here, man.
It says he doesn't have any social media. He's like, Instagram's pornography. I open my Instagram and I've got Emily Ratajkowski's butt cheeks. Yep. And I'm not a man, so I don't have that same biological reaction to seeing it. But I can only imagine how difficult it is for a man when you open an app and you've got Kim Kardashian offering her body to Emily Ratajkowski. Even if you're walking down the street, I've realized even how desensitized I've become to pornography because you see an ad for Gucci and for whatever reason, she's got to be completely naked while she's holding the bag.
I remember in my lifetime.
Very interesting.
I remember in my lifetime, there were music videos that got censored or banned or can only be played after 10 or 11 at night.
Yes.
And you watch them now, you'd be like, what? For what?
Yeah,
what is that
right.
It's amazing how quickly it has degenerated. And yeah, absolutely.
And we're all degenerating with it. Like I've realized the fact that I don't have a reaction to seeing the half-naked woman holding a Gucci bag means that I have been desensitized to pornography. And I can only imagine what that does to men.
Oh, wow. Candace is on point here, man. Candace and Andrew are on point with this. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to have this music on. There we go. My apologies, guys. But yeah, he's on to something with this, man. They are absolutely on to something with this. The standards today are not the standards of yesteryear, for sure. John, with the $20 super chat, appreciate that, says, Donovan, is it possible that Adam's a plant? I mean, look, anything is possible. I suppose anything is possible. I don't know that Adam's... I mean, it's possible that he's a plant. Yeah, he stands for everything we're against. He really does stand for everything he's against. So do I think it's possible? Yeah, I do. How likely? Oh, Ken Rose with the $5 super chat. Appreciate that very much. Sorry I missed that earlier. I don't know how likely it is, but yeah, nothing's impossible. I will definitely give you that. Let's continue.
Oh, completely. And but this is what the powers that be want. They want to make sure that the male populace is as docile as possible, and they do that with a large array of weapons, and they do that with a web of tools, and I believe that I'm the counter to that, which is the reason I ended up attacked in the first place. But unfortunately, when you buy into the slave mind programming, you not become the kind of man who can easily attract a woman, because you're not attractive to females as a whole. So how do you satisfy yourself? You end up sitting there staring at a screen, and they convince you that's a good life to live as a man, and that's perfectly fine and perfectly normal, and you don't even get to genetically reproduce. If
you're staring at a screen and you're not making money while you're staring at that screen, you're wasting your time and your life. You're wasting your time and your life. I'm sorry. I get pushback all the time from these Sigma males. Guys, if you are playing video games for more than an hour a day on average and you are not making money playing video games, you are never going to reach your full potential. You're just not going to. Playing video games is like any other sedation. It's great, it's fun, but in moderation. But you know, look, man, the video game marketers, they got a job to do. They got to make these games as engaging and as addictive as possible. So I can understand, like, dude, I see some of these commercials for some of these video games, and I just look at Devin, I'm like, dude, like, I get it. I understand why these guys get lost in these games. But by the same token, that just because games are great and this and that and the other does not mean that they're not the same as any other vice. Playing video games is a vice just like pornography, smoking, doing drugs, sex, any other sort of sedation, in moderation. But now we got people staring at screens, whether it's video games, pornography, gambling, binge watching Netflix. But Donovan, you stare at a screen all day. Yes, and I make money doing it. That's the difference. Devin in the chat says AI girls are taking over and proving how shallow and pointless the quote clout hot girls get online is. Yeah, that's true. All you have to do to get clout as a woman is just be attractive. That's not a bad thing. I'm not here to complain about it, but let's not pretend that it's some sort of talent.
Also, though, and I want to make this clear, I do believe in absolute and utter self-accountability as a man. I think as a man, everything that happens to you is your fault. Me going to jail was my fault. Me being attacked online was my fault. If all these bad things that happened to me, I will take responsibility for it.
There you go. There's Andrew. He's taking responsibility for it. I let the wrong women into my life. I led the kind of lifestyle that is conducive to things happening. I take full responsibility. There you go, guys. There you go. Andrew Tate's not perfect, and Andrew Tate would be the first to tell you that. Andrew is sitting here telling us, hey, man, I'm responsible for the predicament I'm in. That doesn't mean I'm guilty, but hey, if I hadn't had this webcam business, if I hadn't had degenerate women in my life, then I probably wouldn't be in this situation. I am Labib says, Donovan, you need a haram button. Yeah, I do. Sapio African, this is on Rumble, says, which relationship is worse? The answer is yes. St. Jim on Rumble says, Beta's made Tate alpha by hating on him. Betas really want to see an alpha fall. Women depend on men for everything, survival, infrastructure, and everything. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, anyone who wants to see Andrew Tate fall is an enemy of masculinity. I've said this before. Aben Preach, enemies of masculinity. Who else? Destiny, enemy of masculinity. Anthony Johnson, enemy of masculinity. Nobody thinks of Anthony as masculine. They think of him as a fucking psychopath with a kid.
Or even if I believe they were unfair or unjust. And I think that any man who's going to sit there and say, I'm struggling, he also needs to wake up and understand that if you're going to truly struggle to not click on a website, then you're going to deserve the terrible life you're going to live. And the devil or the matrix or whatever you want to call them are going to fill your life with temptations. They're going to fill your life with easy way outs. that they're going to want you to take, because the good road is usually the hardest road.
There you go.
And if you're going to continue to fall for them, then you're going to have to suffer the consequences of that. So,
No, look, and I agree with Andrew. But then again, I'm always going to go back to the fact that I understand why men are the way they are. I understand that. I used to be hard on the incels and the black pill guys and the video gamers and the Sigma males and all this other kind of stuff, but I'm a little more empathetic to them. Because even though I haven't been in the field, I haven't been in the game in years. I'm just looking and it's fucking crazy. Like, what are dudes supposed to do? By the same token, if you've decided to check out of the dating market and play video games and have sex with sex dolls, then shut the fuck up about it. Nobody gives a fuck about dudes who are never getting laid. You know what? I'll put it to you this way. Let's not even make it about sex. Let's not even make it about sex. The world doesn't give a fuck about non-productive men who are checking out. You know, all you do is play video games, you smoke weed, you live with your parents. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that you're talking about getting your passport. Nobody gives a shit that you have checked out. Nobody cares that you are going his own way. Nobody cares that you're going your own way. Go your own way. But for God's sake, shut the fuck up about it. You're not a goddamn hero, because the life you live is easy. It might be miserable, but it doesn't mean it's a hard life to live. It's easy to wake and bake and play Call of Duty 18 hours a day. It's easy to fire up the laptop for some chicken choking fun on some hentai porn. Don't talk to me listen, do what you got to do. I understand, but don't talk to me like you're some sort of a hero. Fuck that. I am Labib says he. Oh, I'm sorry. St. Jim says he is a 6 foot tall alpha. Donovan, no disrespect, but you may not understand the jealousy of betas who are sub 6 foot. The anger is real. Okay. I'm Labib says, is Anthony Johnson John Anthony lifestyle? No, he's not. They are both peas in a pod. John Anthony lifestyle is just much smarter than Anthony Johnson. That's why Anthony Johnson is broke and John Anthony is not. He said he did an interview with Tate. That's the only thing I've done. These dudes, this dude's just odd and tries too hard. Yeah. Listen, Anthony had been friends with Andrew for a while. He's not friends with him anymore. Do you think Andrew wants anything to do with his crazy ass? No way. He's not dumb. St. Jim says, Donovan, you are a 6-footer. That explains the hate for Tate. Okay, all right. Fair enough. I mean, I guess you're right. I mean, I don't know. Is there guys, let me know. Is there really a hatred for guys that are over 6 feet tall?
it's double-edged. It's certainly difficult that pornography is everywhere and men are struggling with it. But to me, what's even more upsetting is that these men don't have enough fortitude and enough mental strength to wake up and say, I'm better than that. But this is the thing, right? So I'm about to get started, Candace.
Let's do it.
But this is the thing, right? So when you attack a man's mental fortitude on one issue, you attack on all issues.
That's right.
This is why it's done purposefully. To resist a slave mind, you need to be able to resist in the first place. How can you resist a slave mind if you have no physicality, you have no willpower, no ability to mentally resist anything? Well, then what you're going to end up doing, you're going to end up eating the bugs and watching the porn and sitting in front of your computer. And that's what they want from the people. So I think that it's actually all very interconnected. People come at me with the porn problem, and I get the same thing. Guys say to me all the time, hey, what should I do? I struggle with pornography. And I say, that's because you have nothing else in your life in order.
Bingo.
If you were in good physical condition,
Yep.
and you had the money you were supposed to have,
Yep.
and you had the mentality you were supposed to have, you wouldn't need it. So the reason you're so addicted to porn is because everything else in your life is a failure. And yeah.
Damn, dude. Andrew's out here spitting. Guys, while I'm thinking about it, gentlemen, do not forget, it is Donovan and Devin's birthday sale. Use promo code LEO to get 75% off. That is 75. You're getting my unbelievable catalog for pennies on the dollar. Guys, how to master the game, how to train your woman, Womanese, the 49 laws of Sharpe, all of it, 75% off. If you purchase something that's $10, you pay $2.50. If you purchase something that's $100, you pay, wait a minute, you pay $25. Almost couldn't do that math. 75% off, guys. Sale ends on my birthday, August 11th, August 11th of 2023. August 11th of 2023. The lovely and talented Devin turns 47 on August the 6th. I turn 46 on August the 11th. And we are celebrating by doing our annual birthday sale. Use promo code LEO at checkout to get 75. That is 75% off. Let's continue.
Yeah, it's certainly a complicated issue. It's a difficult one. And this is why they fear male agency so much, because when men truly wake up and decide to be the best versions of themselves, they're hard to control because all these control mechanisms fall by the wayside. They don't want the porn anymore. They don't want the antidepressants anymore. They don't want the garbage anymore. And now you have a whole bunch of men who actually want truth and honor and respect, and they want to live for something. And then what are they going to live for? They're going to want to be brave. They're going to want to do the right thing, regardless of how dangerous it may be for their own personal circumstance. And that sounds like a difficult population to enslave. I mean, that's the story.
So how do you reconcile, first off, how long ago was your webcam business?
Yeah, so I stopped having any involvement with it, I think 8 to 9 years ago I stopped. It was a long time ago. It was at the early stages of the internet. And I'll explain it one more time for people. I've explained it already at length, but I'll explain it from the beginning. I had a company. I was fighting at the time. And on a side note, I actually want to make this clear. We talk about things people have done in the past for money. I beat people up for money.
Right.
I hurt people.
Used to be a kickboxer. Oh, wow. Good editing.
And I think it's the first interview I've mentioned it in. There's a person who can never walk the same again because he fought me. I've had 87 professional fights and I did my best to kill people. You're going to sit here and talk about what I did for money. I literally hurt people for money. And so I'm not a perfect person. I'm not sorry for my kickboxing career or my cage fights. I'm not sorry for any of it. I had bare knuckle fights. I'm not sorry for any of them.
Yeah, James Woodyard Jr. with the $1. James Woodyard Jr. with the $1 Cash App says for YouTube blocking my super chat. Yeah, I know. YouTube it's weird like that. So if you guys want to support, I you know what? I guess I should put the my Cash App down there so you guys know where to donate if your super chats aren't going through.
Right? I was a person who had to pay the bills. I lived the life I lived. I used the tools I had. And I ended up opening a webcam company where girls would sit on a laptop and they would talk to guys on the internet for money. That's what they would do. The girls would sit there fully clothed or a bikini. Some of them would paint pictures. Some of them would sing songs. It's very similar to Twitch is now. Twitch is almost more sexual than the sexual websites were back then.
Wow, dude, that is fucking bars. I'm not on Twitch. Like I've been on the Twitch like homepage. And it's a bunch of guys playing video games, but I mean, dude, Amaranth, you know what I mean? Like Twitch is just basically, it's basically OnlyFans of video games, guys.
Set up accounts, we worked together, I helped them become as popular as possible, and everybody made money and everybody was happy. And nobody is complaining about it, nobody's upset about it, none of the girls who work for me are upset about it, the government aren't after me for it, it's perfectly legal, nothing's wrong with it. There's just a whole bunch of people who now think that they can take the moral high ground against me because I previously ran this company, and I think I can anticipate the question you're gonna ask. How do I reconcile with the fact that I used to produce pornography or degree pornographic content?
Now men are writing to you, like, how do I...
And now men are trying to escape it.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. There's a few different ways I can answer that question. I think the first way I'll answer it is if you own a liquor store and an alcoholic comes in and you refuse to sell him alcohol, does he stop being an alcoholic?
No, of course not.
He just goes and buys from someone else. So that's the cop-out answer. The cop-out is,
well, it could be seen as a cop-out answer, but it's also true, Andrew. It's also true. These girls were going to be sex workers one way or the other. See, no one has a problem. No one has a problem with the strip club owner putting 18-year-old girls to work on the stripper pole. No one has a problem with that. No one has a problem with that. But when someone actually stakes his own claim and does things his way, legally, I might add, now it's a problem. So what's the difference between, you know, the Pale Horse Strip Club in, you know, Tampa, Florida, and Andrew Tate's webcam business? Sorry, that was a little late.
These people who are addicted are always going to be addicted, regardless of whether I did it or not.
There you go.
That's the cop-out answer. But the second answer I can give, which I think is more detailed and probably more nuanced, is one, I intimately understand the relationship between men and these websites. I've had and seen men give away their life savings to girls they never met. I've watched and I've seen it.
God.
And I actually think a lot of the insights I give, a lot of the things I tell the world about the male mental health crisis, about men being so constantly lonely, about how important it is to build yourself into a high-value man, about how money alone is not enough. I explain all these things. A lot of these are lessons from the webcam days. I saw dudes who had a whole bunch of money, no other attributes, and they ended up on these websites spending hundreds of thousands of dollars because they didn't have anything else. So I think I learned a lot of important life lessons, and I do my best to try and pass them on to people. But I guess also, and this is the final answer I want to give about this whole subject, is that I do think I can take the question you're asking and reverse engineer it and use it against the people who are trying to attack me for it. My answer to it would be, how do you sit and want to criticize me for being involved in the production of pornography 10 or 11 years ago?
That you consume.
If you're involved in the consumption of it.
Thank you. There it is. There it is. There it is, guys. There it is. If you're involved in the consumption of it, how can you chastise it?
Because you're creating a market for it. So anybody who wants to sit and say that I did things wrong, that's fine. You're allowed to throw stones. But if you're in a glass house, if you have ever signed up to an OnlyFans account, if you have Instagram, if you're following these models on Instagram, if you don't know, we're showing your tits and ass all
I
day.
love it.
If you've watched porn, if you fancy or think some beautiful woman on a movie, if you're going to live in lust yourself, and you're funding this entire industry,
Yes,
you're
sir.
downstream, you're at the bottom of it, how can you then take the moral high ground on the person who's producing it?
Well, there you go, guys. There you go. And the answer to his question is that they can't. They just don't like him. They just don't like him. That's what they're really trying. Like that's what it comes down to. If they like you, they'll make excuses for you. If they don't, they won't. That's generally how these things tend to go.
That doesn't make sense to me. So if you've totally
Makes perfect
abstained
sense
from
to me.
pornography your entire life, and you've never looked at it ever, you've never been involved with it ever, and you're a perfect person, and you want to come along and say what I did was wrong, that's fine. But I don't think most people who are complaining can even say that. I don't think they can. And I will once again state this, and I'll state this as a matter of almost fact. The level of investigation I've gone under, the level of forensic investigation my life has been submitted to, most people don't understand. Most people have never been through what I've been through. They've not had their entire life forensically analyzed, every word they've ever said, everyone they've ever spoken to, every WhatsApp chat, everything, head to toe by federal agencies for the last 10 years. And the most they come up with is that I ran a webcam company, which
There
I've
it
already
is.
admitted to. That's it. Take these people who criticize me and see how many porn websites they've been on. Get their laptops. See what they've Googled. See who they've spoken to.
Ooh.
Like, it's all massively hypocritical. I do understand that some people would hear that and go, oh, you know, he's a bad person, etc. I don't think I was a bad person. I never hurt anybody. I think I could have done much worse things. I know many people from my circumstances who did many things worse than what I did. And all in all, I'm not going to sit and pretend I'm sorry for something I'm not sorry for. And I just want to make it clear to the world that, like you said, people come from different backgrounds and people grow and people change, etc. But I also look at the world in a different way. I think that we're all constantly doing our best. I think I'm doing the best I can right now. When I'm 55, I might watch this interview and think I'm an idiot. Right?
Yeah, it's possible.
And I think we're all constantly doing our best. And I did
possible.
the best I could do at the time, and I don't think it makes sense for me to hate past me for doing his best. I just don't think that's a very constructive mindset.
Good.
Living a healthy lifestyle can be challenging when you're always on the go. You need simple, manageable routines to make sure that you're getting the proper nutrition
Sorry,
every single
guys.
day, which is why I'm a huge fan of Balance of Nature. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies capsules are a great way to make sure that you're getting essential nutrition. And
Yeah,
for
Candace
free
is smart.
pro-
She hits you with the sponsorships and doesn't warn you. Oh, wait a minute.
balanceofnature.com, promo code Candace. Yeah, I think it's really important for conservatives who
I like how Andrew calls her Candace.
identify and say I'm a
That's great.
conservatives to recognize that the people, it's not people that are perfect that are bringing people over to our side. I was not brought over to conservative principles by people preaching at me and telling me how perfect their lives were. It was actually people that were much more broken that led me here, which is fascinating. I got interested in business because of Jay-Z.
Yeah.
I criticize him all the time now about things that he does.
But you're not-
I got interested, in Kanye West, him doing a Christian album.
Why would Candace criticize Jay-Z for the... Oh, well, yeah, that's because Jay-Z is a liberal. So,
And
okay.
things of that nature. You need people that are flawed.
You need people
Yep.
that are real.
Yes.
This is the thing.
Yes.
I'm not particularly political. I didn't consider myself particularly political, but it looks like I'm kind of ending up there. And like I said, I'm a realist, which puts me on the conservative side, and I'm not stupid, and I understand very well about the world and propaganda and what they're trying to do to us, so you end up being a conservative by default. But you're a real person if you have flaws. If you want to sit and tell a disadvantaged youth growing up in the south side of Chicago
Hey, there we go.
how he's supposed to live his life from your perfectly manicured garden and your white picket fence,
There you
you're
go.
not going to get through to that person. They
No.
don't care
It
what you have to
actually-
say.
It actually becomes a bit of a turnoff.
Absolutely.
It's like those are things about me that I don't think will ever change, which is why I get your following. I get what people like about you. It's why you say the disenfranchised follow you. And I think it's important for people to understand that. Like, there was no way, and I still have no respect for her at all, but it's why I snap so hard at, the Meghan McCains. I'm like, who the hell are you? What have you done in your life that you think I'm going to take advice? What, you've just been someone's
Yeah,
daughter?
that makes sense.
Right?
That
What
makes
have you worked for?
Yo, I can't hate on that. She's right. Meghan McCain is yeah. She's not really a conservative. She's just a rich girl who happens to be John McCain's, daughter or granddaughter. I can't really.
Absolutely.
What have you survived? Tell me something that you lived through in your life that
Yes.
was a struggle. You can't.
Yeah.
Because your life has been perfect.
Dude, what Candace, let me rewind that, because what she just said encapsulates this community very, very
Follow
succinctly.
you, and I think it's important for people to understand that. Like, there was no way, and I still have no respect for her at all, but it's why I snap so hard at, the Meghan McCains. I'm like, who the hell are you? What have you done in your life that you think I'm going to take advice? What, you've just been someone's daughter? Right? What have you worked for?
Absolutely.
What have you survived? Tell me something that you lived through in your life that was a struggle. You can't.
Yeah.
Right. And this is why guys listen to me. This is why guys listen to me. Because I don't tell you, I tell you about my W's, but I tell you about my L's as well. You guys know, man, I don't try to come up in here. I don't try to come up in here and be a perfect person. I speak freely and openly on the regular about my flaws. I do. I've talked about my failed relationships. I've talked about the L's I've taken in relationships. I've talked about all that stuff. I've talked about my temper problem, my arrest record, my felony convictions, all that stuff. This is why you guys listen to me, because you guys know I'm telling you the truth. Well, how do you know how women operate? Because I've been burned in just about every way a man can be burned by a woman. And I've got the scars to prove it. The scars and the receipts. This is why you should always, this is why you gotta research the people the people you follow, man. Anyone who does nothing but talk about their W's, it's a little suspect. It's a little suspect. John Anthony Lifestyle claims that he's banged over 1,400 girls. Dude, we know that's not the case. We know that's not the case. He's paying for prostitutes. He's paying for hookers. Fam. Hell, at least O'Shea keeps it real and says, hey, man, I ain't got no game. I'm just an ugly nigga with money over here in Uganda trying to get laid. Okay. As reprehensible as that is, at least he kept it real. Nope. John Anthony would have us believe that it is his gift of gab. It is his gift of gab that has gotten him these 1,400 lays. And I'm not 100% sure that every single lay was a woman. Maybe both.
Yeah.
Because your life has been perfect. And so I think it's so foolish to think that I'm going to take a lesson, that I'm more likely to take a lesson from a Meghan McCain, who I don't even think is a conservative. I think she's just a rich girl and got rich in way worse ways than you got rich. What was daddy doing overseas?
Yeah. And that's a really amazing point, because we can also look at that, right? Conservatives will sit here and attack me. There are people who are making millions from blowing children to pieces.
Yes.
Like, let's get the world in perspective.
Thank
But
you.
it's cleaners. They didn't get their hands dirty.
Of course.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And that's why I am never the first to bark when someone is suddenly assessing someone's entire life. I'm like, look at you are literally built on the backs of dead Iranian children.
Absolutely. And I'm standing up here also, and I'll make this very clear. Like, I've not tried to avoid this judicial process. I've not tried to run away from anything. I'm standing here saying, if I've committed a crime, put me in jail. And if I haven't committed a crime, what can you say I've done? You could argue it was slightly immoral, perhaps. But I also, to a degree, maybe I'm a libertarian. I think if 20 people or 30 people get in a room and they all agree to do something and it makes them happy, then they should be allowed to do it. If nobody's hurt, nobody's upset by it, then they should do it. And perhaps that does make you a libertarian. If 30 full-grown men decide to go into a room and be gay, and they want to be gay, then they should be allowed to go be gay. You're 30 men, you're not hurting anybody, is what you want to do.
There you go.
You want to wear red t-shirts, wear red t-shirts. If me and my brother had 30 people, we all got together, everyone made money, and everyone was happy, who's others to come along and criticize and say people are victims, people are upset, this is wrong, this is bad, etc. So, yeah, you're completely right. It's amazing how people throw stones and how imperfect everybody is, truly. And I think the best thing you can do as a man is obviously learn your lessons from your life and try your best to pass them on. I feel like I'm doing that to the best of my ability. But also, another thing that conservatives is going to blow their minds, is going to really upset them.
Uh-oh.
What they don't understand about especially the strength of my message is that, to especially the young boys of the world, I'm cool. I'm cool. And I know they think that doesn't matter, but if you want to sit behind a desk and go, the Republican Bill 304, you're a dork, so no one gives a shit, right? You're a nerd. I've got the big cars and pretty women, and I live the lifestyle.
He's a made man.
If you want to really capture the youth of today, you need to get some kind of affinity with them. They need to at least want to be you to a degree.
That's right.
You need to at least be their hero to a degree. This is where liberalism wins. I don't think a lot of conservatives understand it. Liberalism's sexy. You do drugs, you run around, you burn stuff. It's cool. You get a party. But what do conservatives do? Stay home, stay home, stay home. It's boring, right? At least what they don't understand is that conservatives will sit there and go, he's a terrible role model because he has all these pretty girls in this fast car and he's a materialistic. That's the reason I can
That's why they're
help
losing.
That's the reason young boys will listen to me. You said it yourself, 14, 15-year-old boys, they'll look at my life and go, okay, I want to listen to this guy. They don't want to listen to me if I sit behind a desk and read Republican Bill 308. I don't read that crap. I don't know. And they don't care.
I agree with you. I mean, I think one of the criticisms that I faced was that I care too much about culture on my podcast. I'm like, culture is interesting. Culture is what is changing minds and changing hearts. 100%. So if you don't want to compete with liberals in the cultural space, then what are we doing this for?
100%.
Right? What do you think the young kids, do you really think that they're, like you said, following a Senate bill that just hit the desk? Or do you think that how you convey that to them and how you're talking about ideas
Support your boy, $Donovan Sharpe.
actually matters and culture matters? And it's something that conservatives gave up many years ago.
And they wonder why they lose. And then we call it
Trump was cultural.
That is incredible. That's incredible. You know what? That example is tantamount to motherhood versus the party life. I've said before, guys, no one is sitting here telling girls that motherhood is as exciting as living the city girl life. Living the city girl life is exciting. You don't have to answer to anybody. You can do what you want, when you want, with whom you want. You can do, I mean, you've got carte blanche to do whatever it is you want. You don't have any responsibilities. You don't have any responsibilities at all whatsoever. Of course, that's a lot more fun. That's why I think there was a podcast out there a while back. It's called Guys We Fucked. What? You want to talk, like, you want to sit here, you want to sit around and talk about, like, your body counts? But girls listen to that, and it's a lot more exciting than being in the gym, staying in shape, being good to your husband, looking after your kids, keeping the house clean. Listen, man, I agree. If conservatives want to win the hearts and minds of young men and women, they got to win the culture war. I don't know how, but they're going to have to.
It was cultural.
Yeah.
Trump was fake news.
Yeah.
Trump was a hero. And to be a hero, you have to be attacked, and you have to be an imperfect person, and that's the reality of the world. And culture is super important, and you're right in regards to conservatives giving up. I'm trying to think of conservative culture now. I mean, I like to think that we're making degeneracy unpopular. I like to think that there are some good voices out there that is making God cool again. I actually like to believe the pendulum is swinging. I do believe it, and I see it online, and it's a combination of so many small things coming together almost in perfect timing. But it is cultural. You need a cultural shift that moves away from this insanity. And you're right. If you just want to sit there and just preach, nobody's going to be interested in it. And I also think that, especially in the masculine realm, I can't talk for being a woman, but I can talk for being a man. In the masculine realm, we certainly like to see people lead by absolute and our example.
Yes.
Because traditionally, we would be following our commander or the man we respected into war. So we'd like to know he can at least fight. You like to see he's at least brave. You like to see him lead by example.
There you go.
And I think especially if conservatives want to win the culture war, then they need to lead by example. If you're going to be a conservative preacher and you want to tell men about how they should live their lives, you should be as strong as possible. You should look in shape. You should be big. You should show you're motivated.
Wow,
you're
look at that.
You should absolutely, of course, we all have vices, but you should be very disciplined with your outlook. You should make it very clear to the outside world that what you've done wrong, what you haven't done wrong.
There you go. Like Andrew's given these guys, he's given the church the answers. He's given the church the answers. If you want to win the hearts and minds of young men, you need to become one of them. This doesn't mean get a cool haircut and a tattoo. No. But you need to be in shape. You need to be about your shit. You have to have your shit together. People aren't going to listen to people who don't have their shit together. They just ain't.
You should take accountability. I think you need to lead by example. I don't think you can preach to men. I don't think you can preach to young boys. I think that's the reason why they don't do so well in school in general. I don't think that's the reason why they're
lead by example.
I think you need to just lead by example and let them follow. And I feel like I'm kind of doing that by just standing up and saying, no, this is who I am, and I'm unapologetic for it, and this is what I've done, and this is what I intend on doing, and I'm going to try and save the world.
Guys, be sure to get your hands on my newest ebook. Actually, not my newest. It's my best ebook, How to Train Your Woman. You can get it on howtorelationship.net. How to Train Your Woman takes you from A to Z in terms of teaching you how to build a woman you are seeing. Build your candidate brick by brick into the woman you both want and need her to be. If you want a woman who is fit, feminine, friendly, faithful, and is more than willing to do anything for you that is in and out of the bedroom, if you want a woman who's willing to keep herself into shape, keep things spicy in the bedroom, keep your belly full and your balls empty, go to howtorelationship.net. It is a fully interactive ebook. Howtorelationship.net, promo code LEO to get 75% off of that book. Let us continue.
So I want to shift gears here and talk about your dad, 'cause I'm quite fascinated by your dad. He passed recently.
Yeah.
How many years ago?
9 years.
9 years ago. But wow, just wasn't what I was expecting. A chess
Wow.
champ, served the country. His name was Emery.
Yeah.
Really interesting to talk about.
Yep,
Just
his
as
name
your
was also
upbringing
Emery,
with him as this chess champ. How did he get into chess?
Yeah, I do believe I had the best father on the planet. A lot of the things I regurgitate are regurgitated from him. A lot of the things I say, he literally said to me line for line. I believe that he was very morbid in his approach to life, and he wanted me to understand that he will not be here forever. And he wanted me to understand that when he was gone, I had a duty to fulfill. He talked about dying a lot, which I guess is kind of unusual, but he would, even though he was relatively young. He died when he was 58. But he was a chess professional. He was a professional chess player. He was one of the best chess players in the world. And what's most interesting about him is he almost predicted the future absolutely and utterly perfectly. He was talking about the Ukraine-Russia war back in 2013, and he was talking about how the gay people can't have children, so they're going to come for your children. Trust me, that's what they're going to do. The children are next. Like, he'd say all these things back like 10 or 11 years ago, and I'd be like, all right, Dad, you're a bit crazy. Calm down. But I guess when you're a chess player, you see the future. And he raised me with absolute accountability, and he certainly raised me and Tristan to be He understood what the world expects of men, and he raised us to be strong. And even when we were in jail, my mother would call, I'd speak to her on the phone, and she'd say, how are you doing? And I'd say, oh, don't worry. And she would say, yeah, Dad raised you for this. Like, we were always raised to be warriors. So I don't think I could have possibly ever had a better father. I'm going to miss him forever. And I think the best thing I can do is be the best version of myself to give honor and respect to him. And I think that's the best thing.
Where did he pick up chess? It's quite unusual.
Yeah, that is
He's
interesting.
American. He was American.
Yeah.
Black American. I don't know too many Black American chess players, full stop.
Yeah.
Where did he pick up chess?
He taught
If you want to find Black American chess players, dude, go to Central Park. Go to Central Park in New York City.
himself. And he taught himself, and he just read a couple books. I think he read 3 chess books and ended up being one of the best players in the world. And
incredible.
It's incredible. But it's actually interesting when you talk about, we were just discussing affinity and how people are imperfect people and how it allows you to actually teach things better. My father, towards the end of his chess career especially, made most of his money teaching chess in inner city schools because he's a big black guy. So the children would be like, ah, okay, I'll listen to this man, right? So it's amazing how affinity is real, and coming from a certain socioeconomic background is real. And, you know, we all talk about how ridiculous racism is, but also to a degree, pattern recognition is real. I look like him, I can be like him. These things are real.
Right.
So yeah, he did fantastically well in terms of teaching, especially disadvantaged children. And he taught himself, and I wish I had his mind. I'm not nearly as intelligent as he was. I wish I was.
You gotta be real smart to be a good chess player.
You've got to be better than smart. I actually think you go beyond the realm of smart into a, I wouldn't say he was on the spectrum, but you certainly get to a new level of socio interactions. Do you understand? I'd go to chess tournaments when I was a kid, and everybody there would be a world level chess player, and everyone was a bit strange.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if it's like that anymore. I see the chess community's now moved online. There's a lot of them playing online, and they seem a lot more normal than the grandmasters I remembered. I remembered old grandmasters half drunk, ex-KGB, shaking at the board. Yeah, like it was a bit different back then. But
wow. Yo, that's some hardcore shit. Dude, Jesus, ex-KGB guys with the cigarettes.
But yeah, I wish I had his level of intellect. He was certainly the smartest.
By the way, guys, while I'm thinking about Russia, just real quick, off the topic, you guys need to watch the documentary about the Tetris murders. It's the most guys, you would never, just look it up. Devin and I watched it about 6 months ago, and it was fascinating. It was fascinating. It's about these murders that happened in California, and it was all it was all wrapped around the game of Tetris. You guys got to check it out.
First person I've ever known, and even when he died, I got endless emails from people I'd never heard of who just said, I worked with your dad, and I don't think you understand how smart he was.
He served America, yeah?
He served America. He was in the Air Force, and he was a linguist for the CIA. He joined the Air Force and ended up being a linguist for the intelligence.
What other languages did he speak?
He spoke Russian, German, Spanish, and English, but officially he was
Russian, German, Spanish, and English? God damn. Andrew's dad was a fucking
supposed
genius.
to speak Russian. He assimilated Russian in 2 weeks. I think he holds the Air Force record.
Okay, so he's very smart.
Yeah, super ridiculously smart.
Yeah.
I got an email from somebody when he died, and they said that, I just want to send you an email. You don't know who I am. I'll serve with your father in the armed forces. You tell everybody your dad was smart, and they're not going to understand how smart he was. And I want to give you a quick story. I was living with a Russian woman, and I already spoke Russian conversationally when I began the Air Force training to learn Russian. Your father knew nothing, didn't know the alphabet, didn't know nothing. And within 2.5 weeks, he was correcting everybody, including the professor on Russian.
Wow.
So like he just read the dictionary. I saw my dad sit there and read a dictionary. Just read it. And that was it.
Yeah.
It's like photographic memory. Like
He was on a spectrum.
Yeah.
Something else going on.
Yeah, something.
With a little X-Men.
Emery Tate was his name, and everyone called him E.T.
Yeah. He was tough on you.
E.T. He was certainly tough on me, and I can't.
Yeah, Roadblock 85 said Tate's dad was that. Yo, he was that motherfucking dude. God damn, Tate's dad was a fucking G. Damn.
I can't express enough how grateful I am for that. We live in a world now where I'm going to say that my dad hit me when I made a mistake, and everyone's going to lose their minds. And they're going to pretend I was somehow abused and that somehow my childhood was terrible. And
No.
I could not thank. If he was come down to earth today, I would shake his hand and say thank you for absolutely everything you gave me, including discipline, including understanding that in the harsh realities of the real world there is a line, and if you cross that line, violence appears.
That's right.
the unfortunate reality of Earth.
That's right.
There's a line, and if you cross it, violence will appear, either from a cop or from a guy on the street or from someone you don't like, or even a friend will turn on you, whatever. There's a line that shouldn't be crossed, and I learned that from a very young age, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm not sitting here saying a kid should be abused. There's a difference between abuse and discipline, of course. Everyone with a brain understands that, but he was extremely tough on me. And if I could change anything about my childhood, I'd only wish he was tougher. Because life's tough, life's hard. And I think that the best thing you can possibly do as a man is prepare for the endless difficulty that's going to come your way.
Cigar Man 85 on the Rumble site says Andrew is an example of how strong fathers are needed in the family. Right? This is the reason why Andrew is unbreakable, is because he had an unbreakable father.
there's no way out as a man. You're either going to have a very difficult life to become somebody important, or you're going to suffer the difficulty of being invisible. What do you want to do? You want to be invisible and just hide and work in Starbucks and never have a girlfriend who truly loves you and nobody care if you live or die? Or do you want to go out there and be top G and be the most famous man in the world and have government agencies trying to lock you up for no reason, putting you in a dungeon? You have to make a choice. It's going to be difficult either way. So I think if you have a son and you're not preparing him for absolute difficulty, you're doing him a disservice. I think that's what has to happen as a man. And I've said this many times before, but I'm going to say it again. I don't think many people understand exactly how competitive the masculine world is. Men are constantly in competition with each other. We always have been. We used to go to war and fight and kill.
Men are always in constant competition with each other. And if I can just pat myself on the back here. If I can just pat myself on the back here. Many people, well, a few people have gone to war with me. Few people have gone to war with me, and I haven't done anything to take anybody down. But what it really comes down to, it comes down to intestinal fortitude. It's a battle of attrition, and it's a test of intestinal fortitude. Do you mentally have what it takes to push through? Do you mentally have what it takes to push through? For years and years, Obsidian has been dogging me. He's been dogging me. And the reason he attacked me in the first place is because I told Alan Roger Curry that his girlfriend was, well, portly. Obsidian didn't like that. He started talking trash, and he was already talking trash about me. But I survived him. Obsidian's a nobody. It is what it is. You know, whatever. I admire him for what he did with Pearl or whatever, but he's still that same dude. He's still over there on Nigatube trying to impress and tap dance the community. Then there was O'Shea. O'Shea came at me. He kept trying to talk trash to and about me. And now all O'Shea, and let's shout out to O'Shea. He's got it going on, but he doesn't really matter anymore. He's basically just a gossip column. He's basically media takeout on YouTube, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. Listen, it pays. He does very, very well for himself. But he's not changing anybody's lives. He's not making a positive impact on the world, right? He tried, he failed. I'm still here. He tried to tell everybody that I tried to start a Black 21 convention behind his back. That clearly was nowhere close to true. Clearly nowhere close to true. Then Anthony came after me, right? Then Anthony came after me, and O'Shea co-signed on it. O'Shea co-signed on that. Now we go to Anthony. Anthony spent 3 solid years trying to take me down. But through it, and guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was easy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was easy, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was easy. Yeah, there were many, many difficult times, but there was never a period of time where I said, you know what, I'm just going to give up. I can't do this anymore. It's too stressful. Like that thought never, dude, I never even entertained that thought. And now, after all of that nonsense, I win. The 21 Summit, which means the 21 Convention, the Patriarch Convention, and the 22 Convention is canceled. I outlasted him. I've outlasted all of my enemies, guys. All of them. All of them. Kevin Ray Wilder, you're not my enemy. You're a loser. You're a loser who tried to build your platform on taking down red pill guys. You're irrelevant. Guste Janis, same thing. The white pill guy, same thing. Anyone who has come after me, I've outlasted. And that's a good OG Mammoth says, I think the word you're looking for is indomitable. Tate has an indomitable spirit. Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think that's accurate. An indomitable spirit doesn't mean things don't get hard sometimes. But guys, if you stay the course, you continue to do the right thing, listen, things will eventually work out. Might not be on your timeline, but eventually they will. I have outlasted a convention that has been put together every year for the better part of 2 decades. Anthony's been at this since he's a teenager, and for the very first time, he has canceled the 21 convention. And the reason for that is because I flat out outlasted him. It was a battle of attrition. It was a war of words, and I won. Period. That's what Andrew is talking about. That's the mental fortitude that I'm talking about.
Kill each other. I guess in some places we still do. Maybe that's calmed down a little bit. But in the masculine world of today, everybody is constantly competing for everything. The car that you want, other people want. The woman you want, other people want. The house you want, other people want. You're competing to have all of it. And how do you do that? You do that through status and money and influence and power. It's war. I don't think many women realize that when two men even meet each other for the first time.
Yes.
It's like an unspoken, maybe tiny bit at the back of the mind. There's a tiny analysis of, could I fight this man?
Yes.
That's real.
Yes.
It's super real.
Yes.
You go up and say, hello, hello.
Yes.
He's more than a one-punch issue.
Yes.
Oh, he's one punch. He's one punch.
Yes.
He's 3 or 4.
Dude, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I've never heard anyone say this before, but he's absolutely right. He is absolutely right. Anytime you meet, and this is just how guys are. Anytime you meet a man for the very first time, and it's not even conscious, it's a subconscious thought process. Just the same thing that goes through our minds when we meet girls for the first time. Do I want to fuck her? Is she fuckable? And guys, it's not like we're saying, okay, I see woman, do I want to fuck her? No, that's just the first thing we think. When we meet a woman, no matter what status she is, no matter where you are, is she fuckable, yes or no? Well, it's the same thing with guys. When you meet a man for the very first time, you see a man, observe a man, the first thing that goes through your head is, if push comes to shove, can I take this guy?
That's the reality of the masculine world, because we've evolved, if you believe in evolution, but my views are mixed, but we've evolved to be in this position where we're constantly analyzing possible threats, and we're constantly analyzing people who perhaps are on our team, or snakes, etc. And I think that not many people understand exactly how brutally competitive the masculine world is. And I think the worst thing you can do for a son is just to raise him in a bubble.
Oh my God.
My dad, I'll say it here, people lose their minds. My dad used to just randomly push me over. I'd be like 3. You just get up, boy. Okay. How you doing that, son? He's like, you get pushed over, that's life. My mom hated that she did that to me. But yeah, I can give him nothing but praise. I'm really so thankful I had the upbringing I had.
Do you think he's proud of you?
I'm certain he's proud of me. And it's amazing how much strength I can get from that. It's amazing how much strength you can get from knowing that your ancestors are looking down on you and you're doing your absolute best.
Wow.
I also believe that God can be proud of you when you do your absolute best. And I don't think many people genuinely do their best in the world anymore. When I say do your best, people sit and go, oh yeah, okay. No, when's the last time you actually did your best? Like, I don't train to run marathons.
Good question.
But I know if I gave my best, I could run a marathon right now, first try.
Sure.
If I gave my best, life depending on it. When's the last time people have genuinely given their best to anything? There are people going through the world and going through life today that don't give their best or 100% effort to anything ever. Ever. They can't remember the last time they tried. So when I'm sitting in a dungeon, I'm sitting in a Romanian jail cell, I understand that it is a chance that God has given me and my ancestors are watching for me to do my absolute best and to show to them that I am the man I say I am.
Right.
You can't become the most famous man in the world for mental resilience and God not test your mental resilience. I think that would be a very amateur way to view the world. That you can now become one of the most famous men in the world who talks about mental discipline and mental resilience, and God's not going to test it. I think God's going to come along and say, okay, you want to be Mr. Famous. All right, let's see what you have. So I believed it was a chance to show God and show my ancestors and show my father that I am the man I say I am. And it's amazing how much strength you can draw from that, because I don't think many men especially understand that even if you don't have the strength to be a hero for yourself, you should have enough discipline and enough honor to want to be a hero for somebody else. And if you have other people you truly respect, you should want to be a hero for them. And I think that's the masculine imperative. If someone's going to attack your wife, that's when you become a hero. For her. You have to. What kind of man are you if you're not? And you can apply that to other things. If you apply that to your ancestors, or you apply that to God, or you apply that to your beliefs or your core principles as a man, then you can be a hero anytime you want. So
it's so funny that you say that, because it really does. Everything goes back to biology. I think about this all the time. No matter how much sociology is behind everything, telling men to act like women, women to act like men. At the end of the day, women want a masculine man, and when they don't have a masculine man and they beat their man into submission, they're not attracted to them anymore. And it's a tail in between. It's just not attractive anymore. And I used to maybe think of this boyfriend that I had when you were talking about just defending the realm, this sort of responsibility that men have. And I remember sitting there realizing that I had to break up with him, because I thought that if somebody burst through the door with a gun, I was going to have to be the one that would have to defend us, because he was just such a flower.
100%.
And it's in society is yet blaring at men to do the opposite. And I
they're trying to confuse us.
This is why I think you have a platform. This is my whole theory that I built in my head about why you have a platform, is because Lena Dunham came before you, right? And I think that
Lena Dunham. Oh my God, has anyone seen what Lena Dunham looks like lately? Oh, it's a train wreck. Oh, it's an absolute dumpster fire.
For years, men were told to act like sissies.
Yep.
Men
That's
were
right.
told to put your tail between your legs. That was the message, the agreed upon message that came with, Hillary Clinton running, the Me Too, all of these things where men were basically told that if you have a masculine instinct, you're guilty.
Yep.
And then, inevitably, because there is an equilibrium in this world,
Yep.
because there was Lena Dunhams, because there were the Taylor Swifts, because there was the Girl Squads,
Yep.
eventually what would have to happen was that it was going to have to be evened out by someone saying, no, F that, be a man.
Yeah, and I don't feel
Guys, what Candace is talking about also happens on the political spectrum, and I'm not a political guy, but stay with me here. The world, and it's not some cosmic force. I say all the time, there's no such thing as karma. It's simply cause and effect, right? People say, well, OJ went to jail because of karma. No, OJ went to jail because his dumbass trusted the wrong people who had nefarious intentions from the start. That's why OJ went to jail. A lot of people just have a hard time wrapping their heads around the fact that OJ got away with murder. He killed Nicole Brown Simpson and he got away with it. It is what it is. OJ went to jail for trusting the wrong people. That is not karma. That is simply cause and effect. Now, in terms of how this goes, so just given the example that Candace just talked about, Lena Dunham existed, so now Andrew Tate exists, right? Back in 1976, this is before I was born, Jimmy Carter was the president. I think he was a one-term president. Jimmy Carter's probably one of the best men who's ever graced the Oval Office. That was the problem. Jimmy Carter was too good of a person. He needed to have teeth to be in the White House. The only thing anybody remembers about the Carter administration were the gas lines, right? So what did the country do? They said, we don't want a wimp. We want someone who's going to stand up. So they put Reagan in office. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. He was in office for 8 years. Then George Herbert Walker aka Bush the Elder, then he won the election, effectively extending the Reagan administration another 4 years. The American people wanted something different, so they overcorrected to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was everything George Herbert Walker Bush was not. We had Bill Clinton for 8 years. Bill Clinton, dude, he signed in the super predator bill and the deadbeat dads. Enough was enough. So what did we do? We overcorrected and put George W. Bush in office. Then, of course, 9/11 happened. Then the Patriot Act happened and guess what? We overcorrected even more and put Obama in office, who is quite literally the most liberal president we've ever had. We got 8 years of that. And what did we do? Instead of putting Hillary Clinton in office, which was pretty much a coronation, we said, no, we're not doing that. We're going to way overcorrect and put Donald Trump in office. He lasted for 4 years, and now we are way off the road with a guy in the Oval Office who doesn't know whether it's April or Tuesday. That's how this works. So what Candace is talking about is that the reason why Andrew Tate exists is because Lena Dunham existed for so long.
feel guilty for being a man, and I don't think any man should.
No, I don't think so either.
And I think that the most annoying thing about all of this is just how genuinely hypocritical it is, because there's all this feminine movement, and we don't need men, and men don't matter, etc. That's
Music
only
too, men ain't the whole. It's a agreed upon message that men
Yes.
suck.
absolutely, and it's only in the most favorable possible circumstances where females will say that. And that's
That's
what's
right.
so disingenuous about
That's
it.
right.
Because as
That's
soon as
right.
things actually begin to get hard, the closer we get to the realities of life, the closer we get to the unfortunate circumstances of the world, and they exist in many places, the faster you'll see people look for traditional masculinity to protect
There you
them.
go.
So it's not
Look, dude, Andrew Tate is 100% right. Andrew Tate is 100% right. Toxic masculinity, E-Park culture, these are first world issues. These are first world issues. The reason we have issues the issues that we have in this country is because we have it good. You know what they say, man, like good times make for soft people. Good times make for soft, there's some sort of a circular thing. I think you guys know what I'm talking about here. Pardon me. But what it really comes down to is people taking accountability. That's what it is.
not even like it's a genuine belief. That's what's so upsetting about it, is that it's just, I don't know if these people are delusional or if they're...
But the closer, so this is feminism. This is a first world issue, right? The poorer a country is on the whole, the more closely they align with traditional gender roles, right? You don't have, dude, there's no such thing as feminism in Cuba. There's no feminism in China. Well, not China, right? There's no feminism in the Dominican Republic. Third world countries don't have to worry about feminism. You want to know why? They're worried about where their next fucking meal is coming from. They're not worried about you know, the Wi-Fi at their favorite Starbucks being 5G or 4G. Nah, man. Feminism is a first world problem.
Deliberately hypocritical?
Dre Ravens. Good times create soft men create hard times times create soft men. Strong men create good times. That's what it was. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'm not sure which one it is.
I think they're brainwashed. I think it's a two-pronged approach. I think it's the cultural messaging, and also in the education system, they're actively learning that this feminism is what you need to aspire towards. Like when you get out of school, women, you should want to compete with men in climbing the corporate ladder.
It's crazy.
There's a mass brainwash that's taking place.
Oh, completely. They want to neuter men, and the way you do that is to empower women to a point where they're now the dominant power, especially in the Western world. I believe we live in a matriarchy. I don't believe it's a patriarchy like we're told it is. I actually believe it's the other way around. I can't think of a single law that benefits men over women, but I can certainly think of some that benefit women over men.
Oh, yeah,
I think it's very dangerous to be a man in the world today. I think that if women want to destroy a man, it's extremely easy to do. We can look at my current scenario and situation I'm in. And many other men are in the same scenario. I can't think of many examples of a man falsely accusing a woman of something and her losing her entire life. Well, I can certainly think of ones the other way around. So, yeah, they want to turn men into eunuchs because their intention is to make us all slaves.
There you go.
I say that, and people...
And by the way, a eunuch is basically a gelding. Basically, like you guys remember, I don't know, Funny Side was he threatened the Triple Crown back in the early 2000s. And the weird thing about Funny Side is that he was a gelding. Like, even if he had won the Triple Crown, they couldn't stud him out because he didn't, have any nuts. Well, a eunuch is a dude who has been castrated. Kings used to hire eunuchs to look after their harems because they know that eunuchs are not trying to smash their harems. That's what they did. Well, the West wants eunuchs. Listen, if you want to control the male populace, guys, all you have to do is feminize their men. If you control the male populace, you control the population. That's why they're coming after Andrew Tate, because he is making it very, very difficult for the powers that be to control the male populace. That's what it is.
It rolls off my tongue and people just hear it and they don't actually think about what I'm saying. Their intention is to turn men into eunuchs because they want to make us all slaves. I want you to actually understand exactly what I'm saying to you, because at the bottom line of revolution has always been young military age males, and they don't want them to have enough balls or enough thinking, or even enough care for anything outside of themselves to do something about it. Another thing people don't understand is that a lot of these attacks and a lot of things they're trying to do with the culture, especially, they're trying to inject such innate selfishness inside of people that they don't really care about anything that happens outside of themselves. Because then it's very difficult to give a shit about your community. It's very difficult to have any kind of genuine care about your town or your country or an issue. No, they just want you to be self-absorbed, semi-depressed, because depressed people don't fight that hard, watching porn, living inside of your own mind, convinced that somehow you're oppressed for some reason on the internet typing tweets. That's what they want you to do. And they're going to try and keep you there. And genuine masculinity, yeah, to a degree it's protective, and to a degree also it has parameters. You can't be a man who doesn't say no. You can't be a man who doesn't have standards for himself and for people around him.
Right.
I've got labeled as ultra misogynistic because I believe that a man should have standards in his relationship. I believe a man should avoid dishonest people, male and female.
That's right.
You should avoid, if you're a dishonest person, if you lie, if you're going to deceive me, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. I don't have anything to do with you.
Right.
I was sitting talking on a panel show saying that women who are dishonest and promiscuous are not the kind of woman I'd ever want to associate with, and I was labeled misogynistic for that. So it's crazy how they'll attack you, and they'll attack you so violently and so endlessly and repeat it so many times in a bid to beat your soul down. That's what they want, especially from me. I truly believe I'm the number1 prize for them to get. If they can get me to just give up. If we can get Andrew Tate to just give up. Being a man's bad. Come on, Andrew, say it. And it's like, it's dangerous, one thing, but it's actually genuinely also sad. When I analyze the situation in the world we're in today, part of me feels sad that we've ended up in this place where the people who are in charge are so evil and their plans are so heinous and the consequences so dire that they know they can only implement them if they genuinely remove the warrior spirit from every man on the planet. It's kind of sad.
And the warrior spirit is really important. And
it
it's
is
something that I speak about a lot, that men need to go be men. Even in capacity of my marriage, my husband needs his guy time. I need my girl time.
Yep.
The masculine and feminine, it's very important. The fact that my husband hunts and shoots and does these things, that's very attractive to me.
Yep.
To know that if the grocery store is faded away, that you could go catch dinner.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They
right.
skin an animal,
Absolutely.
and they poison that. Look at the hunters. Look at the way they view hunters. They look at people in the South.
Yep.
This is why they know how to ranch. They know how to farm. They know how to survive on their own, which is why they start to poison that mentality, which is why I think it's really important that you're speaking to young men about why it is.
Oh, by the way, guys, I'm taking up boxing in the fall. I've never boxed before. Well, at least not with, at least not with gloves. So I'm gonna learn how to properly throw a punch. And after a few months, I'm gonna spar I'm going to spar with Ed Lattimore on one condition. He can't use his right hand on offense. I told Ed, I was like, yo, look, I'm taking up boxing in the fall. He's like, yo, that's awesome, blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah. He's like, yo, maybe we could spar. And I was like, Ed, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. If we fight, like, if I were to box Ed Lattimore, I would ban him from using his right hand for offense. But yes, that's what I'm going to be doing. Blow off some of this steam.
Okay to be a man, giving them permission to be a man in a capacity that I can't give them that permission. The same way that I try to give women the permission to know that don't allow them to delude you to believing that this is femininity. It is not femininity to have your husband offer your body to another man on camera. That's the poisoning. They teach women that this is sexual freedom, that this is sexual liberation. Yeah. I looked at that and I saw a slave relationship. I saw a master offering his slave to another person.
Oh boy. That sounds pretty goddamn misogynistic to me, doesn't it? Doesn't it, boys and girls?
Because he was just so, I just love Andrew Tate. Would you like to see with my wife? I would be okay with that. That is horrific. That is not femininity. That is not masculinity.
Correct. I absolutely agree with you on that point. You're totally right there. And I think that's probably one of the most misogynistic things that have happened on the internet in recent times, but perhaps they're on the right side of the political spectrum.
I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying. See? Andrew Tate knows the real definition of misogyny. And that's exactly what Adam22, why is nobody going to call Adam22 a misogynist for offering his wife to another man without her permission or consent? How is that not misogynistic?
They're on, but if they're on the correct side, you seem to get away with things.
As you all know, faith is an essential part of...
Oh, for crying out loud. Well, hey, listen, man, she's got to pay the bills, so do we. She's got to pay the bills, and so do we. All right, guys, we're back in a bit.
Understanding women and increasing your dating success starts with Donovan Sharpe's massive collection of award-winning books and courses. Get off to a fast start and jumpstart your masculine renaissance with the 49 Laws of Sharpe. The 49 Laws of Sharpe is the perfect quick start guide for any man new to this community looking for the answers that keep them up at night after a bad experience with a woman. So many men ask themselves, why did she cheat? How could I not see this coming? Why did I miss the signs? And how can I avoid this in the future? The 49 Laws of Sharpe will answer these questions and many more. This will give you a rock-solid foundation upon which to build, develop, and cultivate your newfound identity, and put you miles ahead of your competition. Most men have never had access to this valuable information, let alone understand and apply it. But the 49 Laws of Sharpe will give you an unfair advantage over men and women. This treasure trove of valuable knowledge is available in audio, video, ebook, and paperback. Next, supplement your newly acquired foundational knowledge, supercharge your dating life with Donovan's 25-hour course, How to Master the Game. How to Master the Game will teach you the ins and outs of the player life, overcoming approach anxiety, identifying women who you want to approach, text game, first date principles and logistics, avoiding the friend zone, and so much more will be covered extensively. Also included are the bonus podcasts that will cover how to dress, Tinder game, and much more. Put simply, How to Master the Game will turn you into a stone-cold assassin with the ladies. Available in video and audio format. If you're not the kind of guy who wants to live the bachelor life, or you've had your fill of the player life and are looking for something a little more fulfilling, How to Build a Quality Woman from the Ground Up is a must. Donovan's 5-part, 7-hour audio course will show you step-by-step how to find, cultivate, and sustain a solid, healthy relationship. Everything from selecting the right woman, to coaching and correction, to what to do between the sheets. How to Build a Quality Woman from the Ground Up will guide you through the entire process of building the kind of woman you want and need. The strategies and techniques in this course are exactly what Donovan does in his own relationship to this day. And he is living proof that women can be beneficial to men provided they have the right instruction. And finally, the ultimate weapon all men are looking for in terms of being able to read and understand women, Donovan Sharpe's revolutionary, one-of-a-kind course that has been called the Cheat Code, Womanese. Womanese is the first and only course of its kind that gives men the raw and honest truth about what women really mean when they communicate verbally. Womanese translates female communication with shocking accuracy. and has changed the dating lives and relationships of men the world over. So many men have avoided disaster because of the preciseness and sheer volume of material in this course, which contains over 600 translations. How cool would it be to be able to see through a woman's BS and act accordingly right then and there, rather than getting blindsided when it's too late? What would it be like to have the ability to read a woman like a book based only on what she says? These abilities will be at your disposal with Womanese. Women won't be able to lie to you, cheat on you, deceive you, or take advantage of you. The time and money you'll save pays for the course almost immediately. Womanese is available in video, audio, ebook, and paperback format, and can be purchased one volume at a time or all at once. Men in his community often state that the best investment a man can make is in himself. Donovan's extensive educational materials will take your life to the next level. And the only place you can get this life-changing knowledge is tsracademy.com. Link in description.
I ain't gonna lie, but baby girl bad. She got that melanin skin. She got that melanin skin. She got that melanin skin. I ain't finna lie, but baby girl fine.
Welcome back to the 999th edition of TSR Live. Thank you guys very, very much for sticking around. Be sure to take advantage. Be sure to take advantage of Donovan and Devin's birthday sale. Our birthdays are coming up. Devin's birthday is the 6th. I don't know what days those are. Devin's birthday is the 6th. Mine is the 11th. You get 75% off all books and courses, my entire catalog. When you get the checkout, use promo code LEO. Promo code LEO to get 75% off of your purchase. Also, like I announced yesterday, I am increasing the inventory by 50% for the Conference of Masculine Excellence. That's right, guys. That's right, guys. We actually sold our last VIP ticket yesterday, so there are no more VIP tickets left for sale. We have sold them all. However, we now have 51. We have 51 regular tickets left. We have 51 standard tickets left. They aren't VIP tickets, but the tickets are 2 for 1. You buy one ticket, it's good for 2 people. So if you want to go in halves with someone, that's a good way to get a handle on your expenses. This is going to be a really, really good CME. It really, really is going to be a good CME. I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Of course, Devin and I will be getting married the day before, so there'll be that in the backdrop. And like I said, guys, I'm not doing some large extravagant wedding. No, we're gonna pick a small room. We're gonna, we'll put up some decorations. Maybe, we'll put up some decorations. We're gonna have our cake. Then we'll have our ceremony. We're gonna broadcast it live, and that'll be that. So looking very, very much looking forward to that. Very, very much looking forward to that. Okay, let me get Candace. Ken Rose with the $2 super chat. Appreciate that very, very much. And let's continue.
So I completely agree with you. And there's another thing about masculinity as a whole that I don't think that a lot of people want to address, but it's something that's certainly large in terms of my following. Because if we break down, if anyone's watching this now and they're trying to understand why is Andrew Tate so popular, well, I believe I speak to the base instincts of
base instincts.
Base instincts. And one of the base instincts also for men, I don't think a lot of people understand, is to a degree is peacocking and showing off to a degree. And I do that fantastically. But it is. And if you look at men of old, and they used to conquer, and they'd wear a feather from the man they killed, or a piece of gold they stole. There was always that degree of flexing, showing off. And I think it's being unapologetically masculine and saying, yeah, I'm a big, successful man, and I can afford all this stuff, and this is who I am, and I've worked my ass off, and this is what I have, and I'm not sorry about it, and I'm dedicated, and I'm hardworking, and no, I'm not. I don't feel like I should have to cower or hide or apologize to the world for any of these things. And I think that's the reason why a lot of men find affinity in my message, and you're right. Baseline masculinity is being attacked, and women naturally don't find it attractive to find a man who's not that way anyway, but baseline masculinity is being attacked because they want you absolutely not dependent on the government, so that the government can decide whether you eat that day.
That's right.
And I don't want to be a pessimist, but I still think in many ways, almost with technological advances, it's going to be very difficult to resist. I think it's actually scary. I don't know how the world's going to be in 100 years from now, but I don't know if there's going to be much freedom left. I don't know about you, but when I look at the things they're doing with CBDCs and electric cars and the way the currency is going to change, it's going to be very difficult to resist without literally starving to death. So I don't know what's going to come. So
learn to farm.
Learn to farm.
hunt.
That's
Yep,
right.
you know
Don't
it.
let them convince you that's somehow racist and sexist and backward
Hey, we got tomatoes out front.
and veganism. Like, you better learn to do all of those things
Well,
because
we need men now more than ever, right?
Yeah.
And also, I do believe, and this is going to get me called misogynistic, but I'm going to say it anyway. I do believe we need masculinity, especially in the households, because I believe that women are more emotionally led and men are more logically led.
It's true.
And I think that the propaganda machine and the news machine primarily uses emotional arguments as opposed to logical arguments.
and women fall for the
And women fall for the
There
emotional
it
arguments.
is.
So if you have a woman who's in charge of the household and her man can't resist her commands, and they put on the news, be afraid, COVID's going to kill everybody. She gets afraid, and now you have a whole household of people with masks on, 8 vaccines, and down the insanity hole. Whereas a man with logic would sit there and do exactly what I did and say, look, all right, let's calm down for 2 minutes. Let's just wait, because the news lies. So let's just wait till Wednesday before we start taking injections.
Wednesday.
Chill. So I think also masculinity is needed, because what they're going to do when they try and make us all slaves, they're going to use emotional arguments. And they're going to come along with, I was talking about COVID with somebody the other day, and we were saying how insane it all was. And I said, imagine how insane something like COVID will be once the police force are robotic. Imagine once it's all AI. No mask, done. Like, at least in certain countries, and I know because I traveled the entire world during COVID, I'll say here publicly on the internet, I broke every single COVID rule. I broke every single lockdown restriction. I broke all of them. Every single one. Never listened to anyone.
I broke more.
It's a competition.
Yeah, so if it's a competition, I broke more.
You sure?
And from day one, I was like, absolutely not. I didn't even let people that were wearing masks into my house. I was like, my baby will not look up and see somebody wearing a mask in his crib. That's scary.
Yeah.
Looking like Bane, look over his crib. That's just not happening.
Amazing. But
That's funny.
yeah, I mean, me and my brother, we moved to Sweden. We resisted COVID thing from the absolute beginning. We tried our best because Sweden was completely wide open. Absolute insanity. But yeah, even the COVID thing, if you look at it, the emotional argument that was used and how they controlled the world, and they're going to use emotional arguments to control us with everything. I talk about the police force being AI. What they're going to eventually do is say, cops shoot people, humans make mistakes, cops are racist. We're going to give you robot cops that never make mistakes, because cops are racist and cops can make mistakes, but these robots never make mistakes ever. And then once all the police force are completely robotic and they've removed all our weapons, you think something like COVID 2.0 isn't coming? You think you're not going to be locked in your house? You think they're just going to what, let you live in peace
There
and
it
walk around
is.
outside? Are you an idiot? And they're going to do all of this with emotional arguments. They're not
That's
gonna
why
do
they
it with
want a
logic.
matriarchy.
Absolutely, because with a matriarchy, you can affect it with emotionality. You can sit there and say, the planet is dying. Don't you care about the trees? Give us all your money. And people will sit there and go, oh, yeah, I do feel bad about the planet. Okay, it's just an extra 18% tax. And they're going to fall for it.
Fuck that.
So emotional arguments are how you get your way with anything. If you give me somebody, if you put somebody in front of me, I can convince with an emotional argument. I can convince them almost anything. Almost anything. Logic is much harder to do. So we need
Yes, it
masculinity.
is. And this is why people, when they debate, they go with emotional arguments, thinking they can win.
Even in the household, and I'm just talking about baseline masculinity of just the logic and the rock solid self-assurance to sit there and say, no, I'm in charge of this house. Let's all just calm down. Let's not get emotionally led by this news channel, and let's be very smart about what we do and how we react to things. And that's why it's under attack. And I think I talk about revolutions and I talk about men being the military age males who are going to eventually stand up, etc. But I'm not be doomsdays about anything. I don't want to get arrested for any accusations. But even just having a masculine essence in a household makes the whole household harder to psyop. I truly believe that. And I can just think of COVID, and I use it as an example because it's the most recent large psyop they've attempted on us, where the amount of people I saved personally, I must have saved 200 people's lives from that vaccine. Me personally, just because me as a man, they'd come to me and go, you know, I want to travel. And I'd say, listen, I don't even have time to explain to you. Have I ever been wrong? No, don't get it. Okay. A year later, they're like, I'm so glad I didn't get that. I'm like, I told you. Like, it's amazing like what a masculine essence can do. So that's another reason it's under attack, because if they can remove the masculine essence from society, well, now you have a society. Imagine a society where you can control purely with emotional arguments.
Oh my God. I was going to say, that's what we are now.
We are in a matriarchy, and this is why they accuse me of being an internalized misogynist, because I'm able to think through and acknowledge the flaws of what happens in society when women get power. And if you want to know what happens, look around you. Women fall for emotional arguments the entire time. Show us a commercial.
All the time.
Show us. It's so sad. And before they get to the rational aspects of it, they're already invested emotionally. And I think that virtually every societal ill that we are facing today is because of women. And I think the greatest recent example of that is the Bud Light controversy, because women need to realize how backwards it is. And it took men to stand up to say something was wrong when it was so obviously patently wrong. Nobody cared for years until men stood up to it. So yeah,
because it's emotional arguments. And if we also analyze, I mean, there's certain things that women can do so much better than men. I said this the other day. I was saying to my brother had his daughter here and my niece was here. And I said, isn't it amazing? I found this amazing. I said, isn't it amazing the patience a mother has with a toddler?
Jesus Christ, yes.
I'm like, she's been listening to Peppa Pig for 4 hours. I would lose my mind. I couldn't do it. I simply couldn't do it. So women have this emotionality, which is so fantastic when it's properly used, when it's put into place it's supposed to be. I would never drop my child off to a daycare full of men. Would you drop your 3-year-old child to a daycare run exclusively by males?
No.
It'd be weird. It's just something about it is weird.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust the men not to lose their temper with the kid. I wouldn't understand why all these men want to be around these children all day. It'd be a very weird scenario. So we all understand innately our gender roles, innately on some level. So women have a fantastic superpower when it's properly used, but like everything on earth, if you have a superpower or any kind of power at all and it's put in the wrong direction, it can be destructive. Water, if it's going through a dam, can power a city. If it's not going through a dam, it's a flood. So we have all this emotionality put in the wrong direction, and now they're in positions of power or whatever, or they're controlling the culture, or they're controlling how households are run, and they can fall for these emotional traps, these very simple, basic emotional traps. It's for grandma. The most basic, dumb level. And I sit there and say, grandma's 98. 98-year-olds die. And I'm not saying she should die. I'm saying 98-year-olds get sick. Who said it was COVID? Prove it was COVID. She got the flu last year. Like, what? Have you lost your mind? But grandma.
Which is funny because I think the average life expectancy is 73. So if they've made it to 92,
they've done great.
They've done
great. Absolutely.
And I said that, and people thought that was so harsh and so mean.
Because there you go, harsh, mean, emotionality.
Yeah.
And emotionality is used against people, which is also why they don't like stoicism. Is why when you have a man who's hard to emotionally affect, they also see him as a threat. I've had it from a lot of people. I've had some of the hate.
That is quite profound, actually.
The effect, they also see him as a threat. Emotionality is used against people, which is also why they don't like stoicism. Is why when you have a man who's hard to emotionally affect, they also see him as a threat. I've had it from a lot of people. I've had some of the hate mail I've got, and I get a lot of. I probably get about 10,000 emails a day. I'd say about 9,000 of them are support, and 1,000 of them are fervent weirdos. And the weirdos are like, "You're a psychopath because all this is happening to you. You don't even care." It's like they're threatened by the fact that I'm stoic. They're threatened by the fact that I won't cry and lose my mind over it. They're like, "Oh, he has emotional control. He's a threat," because then they can't lie to me. They can't psyop me. And they want you to be emotionally incontinent. And this is another thing they're teaching men. They're teaching men to act out your feelings. Well, why are they doing that?
Oh my
Because that makes you an emotional person and you're easier to control.
There you go.
They don't care that that damages society by extension. Because when you tell men to act out their feelings, that's why you get school shooters. That's why you get rapists.
That's a very good point. And you know something? Women know this. Women know this. The reason why women want men to be emotional is because emotional men are much easier to control. That's why. If you are governed by your if you are governed by your emotions as a man, that means that you are controlled by anybody or anything.
They get murderers. Why does somebody murder someone? Because he's mad. He's acting out his feelings. He's not a very stoic person if he goes, "I hate you," bang. Right? So they're teaching all this emotional incontinence in men, trying to pretend they care about society. It's destroying society in real time. They have no interest in actually preserving anything that's important about masculinity. And the only reason they're doing it is because that allows them to use emotional arguments. Now they can sit and say, "Okay, these men act out how they feel. So let's make them angry, and they might riot. And let's make them riot on this street. Let's
Minnesota.
leave some bricks on this street." You understand what I'm saying? It's all absolutely utterly done on purpose. And it's kind of amazing to me that nobody sits there and understands the best way you can rebel against the slave mind and resist the matrix is just to be the kind of person who uses logic, is stoic, is emotionally controlled, is physically strong, because a strong body is a strong mind, who refuses to be told or labeled as something. You can't label me as a depressed person. You can't label me as some kind of disease or some kind of personality disorder. You can't label me a color. I'm Andrew Tate. This is who I am. I work hard for my last name. I understand what's right and wrong. I'm going to do my absolute best. And that alone in and of itself is an act of rebellion against these people.
Society really...
Yeah, OG Mammoth says, notice when you're unbothered is when they get the most pissed. Yeah, that is absolutely correct.
We started going down the drain when we started getting into mental health awareness. And this is maybe one of my most controversial viewpoints, but I say it over and over on the show. Everybody needs a therapist. They're talking about their feelings. The truth is that every feeling you have isn't valid, doesn't need to be explored. Sometimes you just have a wacky feeling and you just let it go. And
ooh, that's another good one. Just because you have a feeling doesn't mean it's valid. Sometimes you just feel weird shit, just gotta let it go. Very good.
Because my grandfather was such an impact on my life, strongest man I've ever known, didn't shed a tear. At my grandmother's funeral, they were together from the time he was 17 years old until her dying day. I'm certain he could have at home.
Of course.
But this traditional display of masculinity, my grandfather's perspective that a man needs to let it die in his chest, you know, before displaying this emotion had an impact on me. And when I see, like, I guess to give a cultural example, someone like Prince Harry, you know, on TV, with arms like this, breathing and showing what he learned in therapy, it makes me want to die a little.
Completely.
It makes me want to die a little when I see men acting like this.
Completely.
And that's controversial because they're supposed to say, "Oh my God, he's so brave, it's so stunning, like he's showing this side of him." Everything about Prince Harry to me is what a man should not be.
And this is, guys, this is where I struggle existentially, right? This is where I struggle existentially. And I tried to make EO my quasi-therapist yesterday. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. But that's the That's the paradox I find myself in. Is how do you distinguish the difference between someone being emotional and someone just being animated, right? I'm a very animated person. I talk with my hands. I have dude, my voice inflections are extreme. Like, dude, I go all the way up and then all the way down. I have voice my voice I'm not a boring person to listen to. I'm just not. I do not have a boring voice. I'm not monotone. It's very colorful. And a lot of times that can be mischaracterized as emotion. And then of course, you know, when you're passionate about something, that can also come across as being emotional. So when you are passionate and animated, a lot of people will misconstrue that as emotion, myself included. I'm like, okay, I got a little bit animated there and I was passionate, but was that emotional? And I struggle to really tell the difference, to be honest with you.
Right?
Absolutely.
What you've done to your family, betraying your family, allowing women to assert that much control over you that you would, for profit, betray your family. I mean, everybody's got a family. Everybody's got family issues. Don't even let me get started. The idea of selling out your family and then going
the royal family, selling out the royal family. And yeah,
what happened? It's such a display of what's happened to men, what's happened to masculinity. He's giving up his guns. He's never going to do this anyway. It's all of it is such a public example of what can happen.
The thing is, I know. What's so interesting is, I know how miserable he is.
He's miserable.
There's no way a man can be happy in that scenario.
No way.
I think masculine happiness comes from strength and to a degree excellence, and also comes from respect. Men want to be respected, and he doesn't respect himself, his family doesn't respect him, and his woman doesn't respect him. I know how unhappy he is. I know how unhappy she is by extension. It's just an unhappy, miserable house.
Jesus.
He gave up everything and gained absolutely and utterly nothing. This whole therapy thing, the reason I believe they push therapy so heavily is because it goes into something I said a little bit earlier about selfishness. If you convince somebody that they have to spend hours and hours per week sitting in a chair talking about that feeling they had last Thursday in the kitchen.
That's narcissism.
That's
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
You want to talk about creating mental illness. There it is. This exasperates problems. This makes it worse. And it also builds this culture of absolute and utter selfishness. Excuse me, they're trying to put you in jail for the rest of your life effectively because they're going to enslave you and they're going to control all the money and they're going to make you get injections you don't need. Yeah, but I'm sad. I got therapy. I'll talk about it later. That's all they want. They just want you to be so obsessed with how you feel in your own mind that you can't even look outside of yourself and care about anything.
That's a good point. Now, the reason why I had a therapist is because I was tired of knocking people out. That was being emotional. That was being governed by my emotions. I had an anger management therapist. That was not a non-starter. That was Nope. When you're getting into street fights with people you don't know, people larger than you, yeah, that can be a problem.
It's part of the propaganda machine. It's part of the mechanism to turn us all into docile farmers.
All right, guys, I got to leave it right there. Because I now have to move this over. To Rumble. I got to move this over to Rumble. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the Rumble link. If I can get it. I'm going to put the Rumble link. I'm going to pin it in the chat. I'm going to pin it in the YouTube chat. And I'm going to pin it. I'm going to pin this. And you guys can come over there and join us right now. I'm going to react to the second half of the Big D. Fantastic dating show. All kinds of drama. All kinds of good stuff. I think tomorrow, I'm going to start reacting to Barbie. I really do. Yes, we are in the middle of Married at First Sight, but it's grown a little bit stale. Yeah, there are some interesting parts, but there's one relationship that absolutely should not even be. Like, it's really getting to the point where it's kind of obvious what's going to happen here. So anyway, come on over to Rumble. And we have a great time over there. We have a great time at Rumble. This is where the real education happens. So that is going to do it for this, the 999th edition of TSR Live. My thanks to my patrons, my Sharpe Stream members, my local supporters, and my Rumble subscribers. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you over there in a few. Take care.
I ain't to the love, baby girl bad. She got that melanin skin. She got that melanin skin. She got that melanin skin. I ain't finna lie, but baby girl fine. She got some melanin in her. Yeah, she got that melanin in her. She got that melanin skin. For all the ladies with melanin that's comfortable in their element. You a natural baby, that's evident. All the shade they throw your way is irrelevant. That shade you rock can be like medicine. Always on point, I respect your regimen. But you was bred to win, so you don't really gotta try. Other bitches style jack and wonder why. Cause they wanna be like you. They be buying booty that you grew natural. Or they be trying to tan so they look like you. Trying to keep a man so they cook like you. Light skinned, dark skinned, it don't even matter cause they both fine skinned. Baby, either way, we the shit though.
All right, and with that, I'm going to say so long to my YouTube audience.